Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion Number 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So we're still very much in the getting to know you phase with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Donald Trump was on. Donald Trump was on with Fox and Friends yesterday morning to talk a little bit about the selection, and he's ecstatic about it. So he says.
I would say my reaction is I can't believe it. I never thought this was going to be the one that was picked. I know him a little bit. I helped him very much during the riots because his house was surrounded by people that were waving an American flag. Doesn't sound like very bad people. And he called me, and he was very concerned, very, very concerned that it was going to get out of control. They only had one guard. I guess it was at the mansion or at his house in some form. And he called me. I said, what do you want me to do about it? I was in the White House. He said, if you would put out the word that I'm a good person. And I did. I put out the word. I said, he's a good person. I hope everything's good. And everybody put down their flags and took their flags with them. But they took their American flags and their MAGA flags, and they left. It was thousands of people. And that was the first time I said, wow, that's very interesting. And he called me back, and he thanked me very much. That's my only thing I ever had to do with him. He's a very, very liberal man, and he's a shocking pick, and I'm thrilled. I could not be more thrilled.
From what you've seen from Tim Walz so far, are you equally thrilled with the selection for the purposes of the Trump-Vance electoral interest? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Where's Trump? Who's in charge of his campaign? Because I watch the Olympics, and a lot of us are watching the Olympics. There are no ads. He could be putting an ad. A super PAC could be putting an ad because Kamala Harris, at least every hour on the hour, has a commercial. And she doesn't look crazy, and she doesn't sound radical. Because, you could do whatever you want in a commercial.
Because they're her commercials?
Right, exactly. But I'm saying she looks normal. She looks people getting to know her for the first time. She looks patriotic, with the American flag, with the troops. Why is he not advertising, especially now that she picked the most radical candidate she could choose to be her vice president? I don't they are letting this election slip away right now. That I know the opening ceremonies were too woke. I get that. And I know that two dudes are boxing in the women's category. I understand that. But this is an opportunity to reach out to people who don't really watch TV. And I think he's losing it there. Sorry, I just wanted to get that off. Where's Kellyanne Conway when you need her?
She's flacking for Ukraine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where she is now. Kellyanne Conway.
We've lost it.
Again, you think some of these consultants are like great movement conservatives or MAGA,
No, I don't.
MAGA grassroots Republicans? Some of them are, and a lot of them aren't. Kellyanne Conway, this feted consultant because she took a flyer on Trump in 2016 because she had nothing better to do and the cash was good.
And now
Kellyanne Conway's. It's just people get buffaloed about this. This goes in a lot of different directions, but you are not the person you work for, particularly in politics. professional political consultants who spent their years doing this. I mean, I remember Kellyanne Conway. We're going down this tangent now, but I remember my first interaction with Kellyanne Conway was when she was the pollster for Corrine Wood in the 2002 governor's race here in Illinois. Corrine Wood
Really?
versus Jim Ryan versus Pat O'Malley, and I was with O'Malley. So falling in love with political consultants, and speaking as one, is a little bit like falling in love with politicians. You're only going to get your heart broken. Where's Kellyanne Conway to right the ship? Did she right the ship?
Well,
Or was she along for the ride in 2016?
I don't know. She was a fresh. She
was a fresh what?
She was a breath of fresh air.
No,
Paul
she
Manafort.
wasn't.
Well, for me, I'm not. For me and some other ladies, she was. She did a good job of selling the candidacy of President Trump. Better so than Paul Manafort, because Paul Manafort stepped down. She came in, and she helped Trump win.
It's just wildly revisionist history.
Okay.
Paul Manafort was a mechanic. He wasn't the face of the campaign. He was never intended to be. I mean, yeah, okay. So you had a woman flacking for Trump, Kellyanne Conway, who's frankly not the best spokeshuman and not the most attractive woman to flack for your candidate either, frankly. And not to mention the complication. I mean, the Mary Matlin redux with her and her husband. I mean, all this stuff just gets glossed over for a lot of people if you sort of say the right things in the moment about a candidate they also too otherwise support, but you never actually look at what's the dynamics at play here.
Well,
so now Donald Trump Jr. is all aghast that Kellyanne Conway is out there, doing her consulting gig, flacking for Ukrainian interests, a la Hunter Biden. So whatever. I mean, you threw out her name, so I'm just addressing it because it's just one of these things that I wish people had a better understanding of. I wish they'd think a little bit more about what they see rather than just sort of passively consuming it, including on our side, not just the automatons on the left. Anyway, so that's a digression. But back to Tim Walz. The focus yesterday was on his alleged stolen valor. This I think has the potential to be complicated, particularly because they're dodging it. You know, there was a question to shout it out at them, and Tim Walz just moved about pretending not to hear it. J.D. Vance happened to be on the same tarmac as the vice president. Remember, she's still just the vice president.
I know. And he used to look like a scene out of The Anchorman. They were in a V formation. He's like, I'm here. I'm going to go approach her.
Yeah, so...
Introduce myself.
So, Vance, if you can't bring if you can't bring Muhammad to the mountain, then you bring the mountain to Muhammad, and that's what he did with the press corps.
I figured I'd come by and just take a good look at the plane, because hopefully it's going to be my plane in a few months, but I also thought you guys might get lonely because the vice president doesn't answer questions from reporters and hasn't for 17 days. Have they given you guys an explanation for why she won't take questions from reporters? No? Nobody? Okay, great. Well, I hope that she changes her mind, because it'd be good for the American people, and I think it'd be good for you all if she actually ran a real campaign instead of one from a basement with a teleprompter. So have a good one, guys. See ya.
What would you like to hear from her?
I'd love her to answer some questions. I'd love her to just answer what she wants to do and also explain why every single position she has changed. She pretends to be a prosecutor, yet she pretends to be a tough-on-crime prosecutor, and yet here she is wanting to defund the police. She's the border czar, yet she's opened up the American southern border. This is a person who has to answer the questions from the media, and it's disgraceful that she runs for you guys. It's also insulting for the American people. But anyway, we're going to go do our event. I appreciate you guys being here. I wish she paid you some more attention. See ya.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was, I loved what he did. He was unafraid of her, and he went over and approached her and to say hi and meet her and then talk to the media.
Well, he wasn't going over there to meet her. He was going over there to address the media, which is what he just did. You just heard him do.
Right. No, I know.
Go ask her questions. That's not,
Right.
yeah, he wasn't inviting her for tea. Hey, you media, go do your job, except that presumes you don't know what their job is, which is to flack for Kamala. That's what they're going to do. I don't know. I know people got all excited about it, thought that was some moment. I find it sort of plaintive and forced, actually.
All right, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could text us at the same phone number. And you do not have to put in DA before you leave your comment.
Mary Ann in Wooddale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning.
Hi, Mary Ann. Go ahead.
Hi. More than likely, part of the problem why you don't see Trump on every single station at every single time is because you think he doesn't have all those hundreds of millions that Kamala walked into?
He has the money to be on TV. Thanks for the call, Mary Ann.
Right.
No, I agree. He should be on TV. I don't think it's a money issue. I think it's they haven't settled on the approach. Although they did roll out that first national ad last week that was focused on the Borders Arena. That would be Kamala.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that's not in heavier rotation. I agree with you. I think it should be. The Olympics is a good opportunity to be driving a message in swing states, and again, I haven't looked at the buy schedules. What we see here is not necessarily the same thing that you're seeing in swing states. So just because you see Kamala on here doesn't mean Trump should be on here, because why bother with the Chicago market?
Well, why is she bothering with us? She already locked up Illinois. I mean, that's a national commercial because, of course, I called, and I also called to make sure. Are you guys not letting him advertise on NBC? And that's not the case. They didn't buy any airtime.
Yeah, because why waste a cent on the Chicago market? There's no reason he should spend any money here. What's a national ad campaign for?
To introduce yourself to the nation.
Branding,
yeah.
So he doesn't need branding. He's driving a particular message to a particular cohort of voters in particular states. She needs to introduce herself to the nation and do the rebranding of her, since what people have seen up until she was the nominee for president, they didn't much care for. So this is rebranding nationally that will have, they hope, some redounding effect to swing states. Trump is a bit of a known quantity, I'd say, at this time. So the focus of his money needs to be in swing states. But in terms of driving messages, they're still releasing ads, so we know what they're doing, even if we don't see it in Chicago. The border ad is fine. It's not spectacular. It's fine. It's a gentleman's C ad. But I agree there needs to be more omnipresence there. But my sense is that the Trump campaign is still struggling to come up with the framing they want on the choice here and the branding they want to do on Kamala while she's trying to rebrand herself. All right, coming up at 5:38, we'll address the back and forth over Tim Walz's military record at 5:38.
And then later get into the trans refuge law in Minnesota. But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 5:32 on AM 560. The answer, a strong earthquake and a major tsunami warning in Japan.
The 7.1 magnitude earthquake was centered off the coast of Japan's southern Kyushu island. Staff at nuclear power plants have been checking for damage, with none found so far. The airport nearest the epicenter, Miyazaki, reported broken windows, and Japan's famous high-speed bullet trains have been suspended. There's a tsunami warning out as a result of the quake, the country's meteorological agency predicting 3-foot waves. The last deadly earthquake in Japan was on January 1st this year, when 240 people were killed. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
President Biden giving his first interview since deciding to drop out of the 2024 election. Sitting down with CBS News' Robert Costa at the White House yesterday. The full interview will air on CBS News Sunday morning this weekend. Kamala Harris and her new running mate on the campaign trail, stumping in Wisconsin and Michigan. While speaking from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Harris delivered a series of attacks on Donald Trump.
This campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. It's about two very different visions for our nation.
Senator Vance first telling members of the press corps in Wisconsin before taking their questions, they must feel lonely, abandoned while traveling with the Harris campaign.
I think it's really disgraceful, both for Kamala Harris, but also for a lot of the American media that participates in this stuff, to have a person who has been the presumptive nominee of the Democrat Party for 17 days and refuses to take a single question from the American media.
Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, also campaigning in Eau Claire. It marks Senator Vance's first visit to Wisconsin. The Minnesota Supreme Court is upholding the year-old law restoring the right to vote to felons upon their release from prison. It's a measure that was heavily pushed by Governor Tim Walz, now the VP pick of the Democrat Party. The High Court rejecting a challenge to the 2023 law by the Minnesota Voters Alliance. Chicago Police Department remembering fallen officer Ella French yesterday, hosting a memorial roll call to honor French. The event led by French's mother, Elizabeth.
I am blessed because the presence of every single one of you here gives meaning to the words, real meaning to the words, never forget.
The memorial held 3 years after French was shot and killed. Two brothers, Eric and Amante Morgan, were charged. One man is dead, pulled from Lake Michigan near the Adler Planetarium yesterday. Two men jumped into the lake yesterday in the 1300 block of DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Both were rescued. One man was rushed to a nearby hospital where he later died. And authorities are searching for a woman wanted in a March hit and run in Crest Hill. An arrest warrant was issued for Mary Mosqueda, who faces 2 counts of failure to report an accident involving personal injury or death. Lori and Danny Cooper were found seriously hurt on March 9. Both pronounced dead later at that scene. Cubs over the Twins 8-2, while the White Sox were losers to Oakland 3-2. They begin a series with the Cubs tomorrow night. And the U.S. adds 8 more medals to their count on Wednesday at the Paris Olympics. The news service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% on average to get your smile back. Learn more if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk believes the rot runs deep.
As we marched through these institutions for many years, I soon realized, one after the other, the rot that our institutions have been experiencing, the infection that is present, the tumor within the once great institutions in Washington, D.C.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm embarrassed to say this. I've been using deodorant on my armpits for 30 years, and anytime I noticed odor anywhere else, I thought I needed another shower, I wasn't clean, or I felt like there was something wrong with me. And then my gynecologist told me about Lumi. It's a whole body deodorant that controls odor anywhere and everywhere on your body. Since Lumi, I never have to worry about body odor ever again, anywhere on my body. And that reassurance is worth every penny.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code SHOWER and get 15% off your first purchase with code SHOWER, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER for 15% off your first purchase. With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I am so sure you're going to love it. Or return it for free with Lumi's 60-day money-back guarantee. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER to save 15% today.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
As a business owner, do you have a strategy for exiting your business? Most business owners don't. Studies done by the Exit Planning Institute show 75% of business owners who don't have an exit plan are dissatisfied with their exit, and 80% of businesses put to market never sell. Total Clarity Wealth Management understands the hesitation to discuss exiting. Will customers leave? Will competitors take advantage? Will key employees leave? That's why they offer confidential planning. Contact Anne-Marie at Total Clarity Wealth Management. Discover what the financial foundation should be to pursue an exit that is satisfying. At some point, you are going to leave your business. Will it be on your terms? Total Clarity can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Anne-Marie is a certified exit planning advisor. Visit TotalClarityBusiness.com. That's TotalClarityBusiness.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's 5:40. Let's get a check of the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of our friends at Ingrace with Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560 and the inbound Kennedy. Trouble spot Austin to Montrose. 22 and climbing into the Burns Circle interchange. Already brake lights on the inbound Stevenson, Pulaski to Kedzie. And in the Dan Ryan Express lanes inbound, you'll hit the brakes at Pershing. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. In the AM 560 Weather Center, clouds and sun 83 today. Partly cloudy 59 overnight. Partly sunny, breezy, not as warm tomorrow. High 76. Partly cloudy and 64 right now. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, America First with Sebastian Gorka. Weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, Blue Walz isn't discussing his service record, but they dispatched Flax to do so on his behalf yesterday because it's very much in question. It has been for some time in Minnesota, but of course, the rest of the nation not paying attention until he had been leveled up this week to be the running mate for one Mamala.
Yeah, 3/4 of the nation didn't even know who he was. He reminds me of Tim Kaine a little bit. You know, like the older white guy, they're trying to sell the grandpa. Oh, he's a safe choice.
Dead on the down low, Tim Kaine.
Exactly.
So as we talked about yesterday, this, some people that served with him in the National Guard, like this guy Tom Behrens, are making this case for some time that he has been misrepresenting his service record, that he called himself a retired command sergeant. He wasn't a command sergeant. He didn't do what was required to retire with that rank. The Minnesota National Guard confirmed that to be true, that they, his military paperwork, it's clear that he was not allowed to retire. He was a rank lower. He served as a time in that post, but again, didn't do the requisite things required to retire. But more importantly than that, especially to the guys he served with, is that when it became clear in 2005 that his battalion was going to be deployed to Iraq, Walz retired. So, the way that this goes, the argument that's being made is he spent his entire career, 24 years in the Army National Guard, learning to lead people into battle with training. He had one 6-month overseas deployment to Italy, and he retired when he learned he was going to be leading people into battle in Iraq to try his hand at electoral politics, and here we are 2 decades later. So did he leave his men behind? That's one question, because that's how it's being characterized, number one. Number two, is he misrepresenting his service record, the stolen valor allegation, which is more serious. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
I mean, he cannot claim the title of Command Master Sergeant. He just can't. And the left is spinning it. I mean, did you see the statement that the Harris campaign released? It was they're standing behind him, even though he lied. We're not idiots. After 24 years of military service, Governor Walz retired in 2005 and ran for Congress, where he chaired the Veterans Affairs and was a tireless advocate, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
that's it. Like, they don't even.
Well, that's true. And of course, they're
Right.
not going to address the controversies. They're going to try to paper over them. But the problem is how he characterized that service record during his foray into politics, which continues to the present, of course. There's a good write-up on this by Jordan Schachtel, who's an independent journalist, independent investigative journalist. Since we don't have any investigative journalists working for media agencies anymore, we need the independents. And he goes back to the coverage of Walz. Bloomberg's Joshua Green, who was then employed at The Atlantic, was the first major reporter to profile Walz. He did so when he was a congressional candidate. He wrote at the time, in 2004, Walz left his hometown in Minnesota, quote, to serve overseas in Operation Enduring Freedom. This is from the Atlantic piece. A high school teacher and football coach, he had left to serve overseas in Operation Enduring Freedom. Southern Minnesota is home to a large Guard contingent that includes Walz's unit, the 1st 125th Field Artillery Battalion. So the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan are naturally a pressing local concern, particularly to high school students headed into the armed services. So it gives the impression that he was going to be in theater, which he never was. Or I should say, this is all past tense. It gives the impression that he was in theater, which he never was.
And they changed Italy or Iraq to Italy because he wasn't in Iraq. He was in Italy.
So this was that, and he was deployed for 6 months in Italy in 2003. But then it becomes more problematic. You can say, oh, well, it's just a misunderstanding. Okay, well, let me continue. Then Joshua Green, then at The Atlantic, now Bloomberg, discusses a 2004 visit from George W. Bush to Walz's hometown, in which Walz, who was protesting while still serving in the military, told Green about him supposedly demanding to speak to George W. Bush. This is a quote from Green's story. Walz thought for a moment and asked the Bush staffers if they really wanted to arrest a command sergeant major who just returned from fighting the war on terrorism. Well, again, I mean, that is sort of intentionally misleading. You were in Italy for 6 months in 2003. You never saw action in theater, just returned from fighting the war on terrorism. I respect anybody's service. They're deployed. They're providing support outside of theater. Nobody's criticizing anybody who would be deployed in non-combat action, but is otherwise supporting the overall mission. But you don't characterize or, in a too cute by half kind of way, insinuate that you were a combat veteran when you were not.
And he did that when he ran for Congress and when he ran for governor. So he did it twice. So he's been living this lie. And sometimes when you lie enough to yourself, you think it's true.
Green, Joshua Green, the same reporter, again, formerly at The Atlantic, profiling Walz for a couple of decades now, intermittently, now at Bloomberg, in a piece for Bloomberg this week, Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
He wrote Walz served, quote, in Iraq as part of Operation Enduring Freedom. And that's false.
Oh, boy.
But but I mean, you can understand to some extent why Joshua Green, although he's not a very good journalist, has this confused because I said of the intent, it has to be intentionally misleading statements of Tim Walz about this. Walz, there's another issue too. The same on Tuesday, same day this week, the X account for the Harris-Walz campaign posted a video of Walz discussing the need to disarm Americans. They had their little ban assault weapons, red flag laws, universal background check, all that. In that clip, in that video, Walz tells the audience, We can research the impacts of gun violence. We can make sure those weapons of war that I carried in war are only carried in war. Except you never carried a weapon in war.
Right.
You said, well, I was part of the, yeah, but it is intended to convey and to create in your mind the image of Tim Walz in the line of fire, serving his country, putting his life on the line. And again, it's not denigrating the service of National Guardsmen or anybody who serves in support of a military operation, but this is clearly intentionally misleading.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Text us at the same line. But what is the left doing, Dan? They're not going after that story. They're focusing on J.D. Vance and questioning whether or not he served.
J.D. Vance has criticized him as never having been in combat. And, has he? Has he?
Nancy Pelosi.
Well, has J.D. Vance been in combat? Well, I think he was over in Iraq, I think, as a public relations officer, as a communications officer. I think that's the case. But he's also said that this is anti-Semitic, that Josh Shapiro was not chosen because he wasn't against.
That's enough of that off topic. But I mean,
Andrea Mitchell is another good journalist. He was in. She doesn't know. Nancy Pelosi doesn't know, or they're pretending not to know whether he saw combat action in Iraq. Tina Smith, who's actually a United States Senator from Minnesota, incredibly so, she tried the same line of attack on Vance on CNN with that Jim Acosta did.
Oh, Jim. Oh, please.
Well, here is Tim Walz, who enlisted when he was 17 years old. He served in the National Guard for 24 years. And I'm not aware of any military service that J.D. Vance has ever served. So let's just make the comparison there. And what happened in the tragedy of the killing of George Floyd and then the unrest. Yeah, okay. Pardon me for that.
Oh, excuse me. I hate to get get caught up in a lie here. He after 9/11, he went and signed up to serve this country. And then after he got back, then he went to Ohio State and then to Yale. So just stop.
J.D. Vance on Walz's stolen valor.
When the United States Marine Corps, when the United States of America asked me to go to Iraq to serve my country, I did it. I did what they asked me to do it, and I did it honorably, and I'm very proud of that service. When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him, a fact that he's been criticized for aggressively by a lot of the people that he served with. I think it's shameful.
So he enlisted in the military directly out of high school, and what J.D. Vance said was spot on.
Ron Filipowski, who's a left-wing flack, he retired after 25. The responding to J.D. Vance, he retired, talking about Walz, after 25 years of honorable service. 24, but fine. He retired after 25 years of honorable service. A-hole. You went to Baghdad for 6 months and wrote press releases from an air-conditioned office. Interesting. Well, that comment by Filipowski drew this comment from someone who actually served with J.D., a gentleman named Cullen Tiernan. I served with J.D. Vance. He has integrity. He never lied about his service. When we first landed in Iraq, there was a rocket attack at our base at Al-Assad, which is in the Al-Anbar province, not the Green Zone in Baghdad. We put our lives on the line every day, and Al-Assad is still under attack today. So it's really an interesting juxtaposition, isn't it? At the same time, they're trying to paper over Tim Walz's stolen valor. They're trying to impugn J.D. Vance's actual service record, to the extent they even are aware that he was in the Marines. Tina Smith, senator from Minnesota, just found out.
Oh, really? Oh, he is?
Jim in Palatine, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Good.
I don't know why we're surprised about all this, because we know that every time their lips are moving on the left, they're lying. The only time we can trust what they're saying is when they're not saying anything.
Still can't trust.
It's an abomination.
Yeah.
It's an abomination.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Well, I mean, you're right, and I'm not surprised. The question is, will this have any staying power? The Republicans' right to prosecute it in the way they're prosecuting it, and the fact that you have the flags being deployed, to keep with the theme, in theater, Nancy Pelosi and Tina Smith and
Andrea Mitchell. I mean, that's not journalism. She doesn't even know what he did. She doesn't know that after high school, what he was motivated by, that he enlisted in the Marines.
So the fact that you have these people out flacking suggests they feel it to be a potential vulnerability and they can't just ignore it, which suggests that Vance and company are over the target. And again, it helps, a la Swiftboat Veterans for Truth, to have people who were there with Walz at the time, in addition to the statements that he's made versus the record that is now documented. It's going to be tough for him to wiggle out of that. I think this is something they should stick on because obviously this goes to, right to the heart of a person's integrity. And remember, I'm still very attracted to the sort of riff that Trump did at that Atlanta rally last weekend, which is fake, fake, fake versus fight, fight, fight. Fake, fake, fake versus fight, fight, fight. And Tim Walz's intentionally misleading statements about his service record play right into that.
Well, and also, too, in this statement, so Kamala Harris is standing by her man, saying Governor Walz would never insult or undermine any American service in this country. In fact, he thanks Senator Vance for putting his life on the line for our country.
Damning with faint praise. Yeah. Lewis, Southside.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Don't focus on his military record. Focus on his social justice advocacy. Okay. When I say that, what they going after, what they trying to portray out there, the image they trying to portray, is that they bringing back social justice. George Floyd, sympathy for George Floyd, sympathy, for the people over in Israel, the Hamas. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring that back. Remember what his wife said, that she opened up the window and she would smell smoke from the fires out there burning. Do you remember something like this? I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
A very, very nice Apocalypse Now reference, Lewis. Thank you.
That was good.
Yeah, but it is. Yeah, she loves the smell of burning tires in the morning. Yeah, very good. I like that.
We still have that from yesterday. That is just,
solidarity.
She suffered, Dan. She had to open up her window. She had to smell it.
It's not suffering. She's in solidarity. She did purposefully to be in solidarity with the people that were burning down Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's a remarkable statement.
She was down with the struggle.
Craig, Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan and Amy, and thank you much for taking my call. I'll tell you, you guys are covering something so important because I didn't realize all these facts, and when I'm hearing it, man, it's caused me to be really angry with this kid. So this Walz, he's a deceitful coward, and then on top of it, 24 years milking the system, basically getting all trained to do something, and then when it comes time to do what he's supposed to do, like a rotten, deceitful coward that he is, we find out, he basically bails and everything, basically stole that money in that. And the thing is people need to know this about him because, they're trying to cover it up, and it's real important that everyone knows it about him.
Thanks, Craig. Bob, Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. Always good talking to you. Thanks for educating your listeners on this stolen valor issue. But I'm wondering, how is the fake news media spinning this story? Are they covering it up, or are they mentioning it? And then one other minor topic. There's a throw up at the leg of a lot of journalists with regards to Harris Walz. Have you seen the reports from Chris Matthews and others that just love this ticket?
Yeah, she was John Wayne in Philadelphia. I saw from Matthews.
Oof, God. Why is he back? Like everybody that was canceled is now returning.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager, weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, we'll do what Lewis from the South Side suggested. We'll continue to explore the Tim Walz vault, range of issues and statements he made, including one on your free speech rights that's particularly chilling. 6:06.
And it's happening. Two men are competing in the women's boxing championship. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
CPD honoring Ella French. Pritzker calls for a Sangamon County sheriff to resign. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
A second landfall in 4 days. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Debbie came back ashore a few hours ago in South Carolina as a tropical storm after hitting Florida as a hurricane, causing a lot of flooding, with more to come.
In Myrtle Beach, to the north of Charleston, some vehicles getting stranded and, just really sort of dramatic scenarios where people, horns going off and alarms going off in vehicles and people trying to get to high ground in those areas.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in Carolina Beach, North Carolina. After stalling for days, Debbie will move inland up and over northern New England by Saturday. A strong offshore earthquake rattled Japan's southern coast today. There are no reports of major damage or serious injuries. There was a tsunami warning, and waves of just under 2 feet did roll in. The day after 3 Taylor Swift concerts were canceled in Vienna over terror concerns. Austria's interior minister says a tragedy was prevented.
Law enforcement officials in Austria say they've recently arrested not one but 2 extremists involved in the plot, including a 19-year-old who allegedly had pledged an oath of allegiance to the militant terror group ISIS.
Fox's Kevin Corke. Investigators found chemical substances and devices in that 19-year-old's home. Vice President Harris and her running mate Tim Walz rallied in battleground states, Wisconsin and then Michigan.
As Attorney General, I held the big Wall Street banks accountable for fraud. Well, Donald Trump was just found guilty of fraud.
The former president's running mate J.D. Vance campaigned in the same places.
Every law enforcement agency is telling you Kamala Harris is bad news. She makes it harder to keep you safe. Donald Trump is good news. He makes it easier to keep you safe.
Utah executed a killer after midnight for the first time in 14 years. Taberon Honey, who admitted to the parole board last month he's a monster. In 1998, he murdered his girlfriend's mother. America's listening to Fox News.
A brilliant start to this morning, 64 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott, setting up for a wonderful few days weather-wise here in the Chicago area. Chicago Police Department this morning remembering fallen officer Ella French. CPD continuing to host a memorial roll call to honor French. The event began yesterday, led by French's mother, Elizabeth.
I am blessed because the presence of every single one of you here gives meaning to the words, real meaning to the words, never forget.
The memorial held 3 years after French was shot and killed while conducting a traffic stop on the south side. One man is dead, pulled from Lake Michigan near the Adler Planetarium. Police say 2 men jumped into the lake yesterday in the 1300 block of DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Both were rescued. One of the men was rushed to a nearby hospital where he later died. An autopsy is scheduled for later today. Crews continuing their search for a Minnesota teen who disappeared in Lake Michigan in northwest Indiana. Officials say the 17-year-old boy was in the water Tuesday near Beverly Shores, Indiana, when he went missing.
Where this is almost the same conditions as yesterday, and they have no knowledge that there's a person, a 17-year-old boy, on vacation, dead in the water.
According to the Great Lakes Surf Project's Dave Benjamin, 28 have died on the Great Lakes this year, 10 in Lake Michigan. Authorities are searching for a woman wanted in a March hit-and-run that left a couple dead in Crest Hill. An arrest warrant has been issued for Mary Mosqueda, who faces 2 counts of failure to report an accident involving a personal injury or death. It happened back on March 9 when Danny Cooper and Lori Cooper were found seriously injured. Governor J.B. Pritzker wading into local politics, calling for another elected official, Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell, to resign.
He has failed to explain how he ended up hiring this deputy sheriff who has been fired from other departments. He failed to put forward reforms that clearly need to be made, training and other reforms, and still has failed to meet with the Massey family.
Pritzker critical of Jack Campbell and his failure to resign, according to Pritzker, over his response to the deadly shooting of Massey. Hinsdale's Little League team punched their ticket to the Little League World Series last night. Team party was organized in the western suburbs for family and friends to support the team as they played against Jasper, Indiana.
A little stressful. Wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but what a game. What a game.
Hinsdale won on a walk-off hit from Alex Vivanco in the bottom of the 8th inning to beat Jasper 8-7 and advance to the Little League World Series. The big boys played last night. Cubs 8-2 winners over the Twins at Wrigley, while the White Sox are back in the loss column, falling 3-2 in Oakland. The news, a service of the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of At Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago. With over $800 million in sales, you'll get the most value for your home. 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher lays out Kamala's record.
They want you to forget that she was in the job in the first place because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. They don't want you to remember that, just like they don't want you to remember that she was the border czar. They're memory holing us. They want to change who she is. And they cannot escape the fact that she got the job because of DEI.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Well, summer's here and the weather is beautiful. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints, or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Safety. It's so important at your industrial facility. You need to keep your personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. One problem with your ladders, platforms, or safety guards, and you could be facing costly fines. Vance Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vance Industrial. As a business owner, I realize the importance of keeping my employees safe, and I'm here to offer my expertise. Vance Industrial is a specialty contractor uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment, including walkways, handrails, stairways, and machinery guards. Our Vance Industrial team can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality goods, and install them with trained pros, all making a safer environment for your employees.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
6:09, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the Shingle Company. We've all heard about the dangers of climbing slope roofs lately. Well, you can rest easy with the pros at the Shingle Company, your unafraid slope roof experts. Contact them at shingleco.com, shingleco.com. Inquire about their low price guarantee. Eden's 18, Lake Cook Road to the junction, the Kennedy, already at a half hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson 31 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The rest of the roads are off and on time. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds and sun, neither of a day. High 83, partly cloudy tonight, low 59. Partly sunny tomorrow, the high 76. Breezy Saturday morning, partly sunny, very nice afternoon. Early taste of fall, high Saturday 73. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 64. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before we pour over more of the Walz.
I'm going to call him Tampon Tim, and you're going to call him Blue Walz.
Tampon Tim's good, too. Before we pour over more of his record, go to the vault for some of his rhetorical forays on the issues, I just want to pull back and think about what this Harris-Walz ticket means. Think about its cultural impact. Really do some deep reflection on it, the way that a guy named Anand Giridharadas did on MSNBC, one of these identitarian, guests from the stable over at Morning Joe. There's a real importance to a 60-year-old honky like Tim Walz being the vice president for a 60-year-old Jamaican, Indian, American woman in Kamala Harris. You know what the importance is?
What's the importance?
Are you starting to pick up the vibe of the importance?
I'm trying to pick up what you're laying down.
Well, I have given you the identitarian clue. Think about that. And how that could have massive cultural import. Well, let me bring in Anand.
The significance of this man is that he is an older white man in a moment in which the far right is trying to convince white people that the future is treacherous for them, trying to convince men that the future is treacherous for them. And here is an older white man, a coach, a soldier, who is very hard to dismiss as some kind of effete coastal elite, who is telling older folks and white people, you do not need to be afraid of the future. There is joy in the future. There is joy in having your boss be a black woman. There is joy in what is coming. And I think he is going to teach lots of people, in addition to whatever role he plays in an election and in the White House, he's going to teach lots of people through his role in the culture that they're going to be okay and that there's joy on the far side of realizing a multiracial democracy in this country.
Let that wash over you. The joy. You're missing the joy, I think.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could text us on the same line, and you do not have to put in DA first, because I'll read whatever you put on the board.
It's fascinating too.
Wow,
this
this is
this new interest in honkies from the identitarians. I'm really touched. Starting to feel the joy. Really touched that they've taken an interest in honkies. At least the variety of honky that may ascribe to the white dudes for Harris cohort. Because I used to think that whiteness. And I thought this because this is what they've said incessantly for the better part of the last decade. This is what your DEI training sessions and HR people are parroting over and over and over again. How many clips have we played? This is what has infested K through 12 education, in addition to obviously the academy, that whiteness itself is the problem. Whiteness itself is the problem. But now, when you have a Tim Walz that is willing to bend the knee to a black woman would be your boss, like these things matter. But they matter to them. They matter to the identitarians. They matter to the left. This is how they think. Do you think about the non-behavioral characteristics of your boss? No, I don't really care. I don't care. They care immensely. I'm just glad that they have at least temporarily shed their antipathy for whiteness in the abstract and maleness in the abstract, and are willing to open the door at least to men like Tim Walz, who, you're right, Anad, he is not an effete coastal elite. He's an effete dude from Minnesota, because he is effete, and I don't care if he put on a uniform. He is pathetic. This is a man with no character, no integrity. And, the other thing is, he ain't that smart either.
No, and he loses his temper a lot. I mean, that part, reminds me of Governor Pritzker. Like, don't be unhinged about certain things. Don't be so thin-skinned.
Yeah, thin-skinned about things like, I don't know.
Burning down your city?
Well.
Or is there more?
There's a lot here, but one of the things that has come to light that should be of particular importance is free speech rights. For example, we talked about this the other day, what's going on in England right now with the crackdown on those protesting the open borders policies in Great Britain and what they've led to after 11 people were stabbed in a mass stabbing. 3, 6, 7, 9-year-olds, those 3 little girls were murdered in that mass stabbing incident. And it was the suspect who's in custody is a 17-year-old man of Rwandan descent whose family came over to Britain during the genocide in Rwanda. And it's not so much that you're providing safe harbor to people that are facing genocide. That's why we have asylum laws in this country. I'm open-minded on the topic. But it's the problem of open borders and the lack of vetting and the lack of processing people out of the country once they have run afoul of the law. There's all the sorts of things that we have here. Of course, the UK and Western Europe has as well. In fact, they were ahead of us on moving in this direction. And the response from the British government is to start arresting people for committing thought and speech crimes. They don't have a First Amendment. And if it was up to Tim Walz, we wouldn't either. Listen to this guy just before we get to Walz. This is what I'm talking about. And this is where this goes if you empower thugs like Walz and Harris. They are thugs. Anybody who says, as Tim Walz did, that one man's socialism is another man's neighborliness, I believe that's the same inscription Joseph Stalin had on his pocket watch. I mean, that is so dystopian. That really is chilling. That is more frightening. If you're not frightened by that, and you're frightened by any of the bloviations of Trump over the years, then you just have sort of no sense of balance. You have no orientation in the direction of living in a free society, as much as this ticket runs around talking about all they want is freedom. This is Stephen Parkinson, going back to the UK. He is the head of prosecutions for England and Wales on what they're doing over there. They're interested not when George Floyd protesters or pro-Hamas protesters vandalize, riot, loot, but when honkies do it in Britain over 3 little girls being murdered in a mass stabbing.
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification, arrests, and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
Okay, Lavrenti Beria. I tell you, anybody who sets up a snitch hotline for COVID will happily set up a snitch line to impose the lives of others culture on people that are saying and thinking the wrong things. And here's Tim Walz on
the snitch line, or
here's Tim Walz on free speech in this country.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Well,
should give you great pause.
Actually, there is. We have a First Amendment. Britain's not so lucky. Actually, there is First Amendment protections for whatever you'd call hate speech and misinformation about our democracy. What does that even mean, Coach?
Defensive coordinator.
This is why he needs to be put on a debate stage with J.D. Vance post haste.
Mm-hmm.
That could be 15 to 20 minutes, just that little 8-second statement alone of back and forth, if it's prosecuted right by Vance, and he's got the chops to do it.
And then they can talk about stolen valor too.
Lots
to get to.
Jordan in Antioch.
Good morning. Yeah, I want them to keep being exactly who they are. I want these people to continue to call me a 52-year-old white Christian racist because I don't want to pay $6 a gallon. I want you to keep calling me a racist because I don't want you to cut my kids' genitals off. I want you to keep showing me exactly who you are. Please, just keep doing it, Dan. I'm with you on this. I've been with you on this 100%. The free speech comments, the stolen ballot, man, just more. I want more. And in response, I want J.D. Vance and Trump and everybody on the Republican side to just pile on everything that they're saying and agree with them. Absolutely. That's exactly who you are. I love it. I love when they show you exactly who they are and they do it on TV and they have the other people flacking for them, presenting them who they are. Now we just need somebody to present that to the public, like you said, in a debate forum, and just keep bringing it to the light. Show these people for who they are, because they are horrible, nasty, miserable people. Thank you.
All right, Jordan, the Christo-fascist Jordan from Antioch. Yeah, I like that. So that's a fun one too. Christo-fascist. That they've sort of been, given that a bit of a test ride, and I like it. I like it. Mike in Yorkville.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, Dan, when you're talking about using our intellect of understanding of how stupid, Tim Walz is a pick and everything else, I just want to remind everybody there's a reason why they picked him. And, there's something almost like, I'd almost say like pokerish in a way, that they already know their hand and their hand's going to work. Because if it worked for Joe and Camilla when, they stole the election the last time, why can't we do it again? And that's the one thing we have to really look at, is because they're looking to go ahead and get somebody even more radical than she is. So we can't really have a good confidence in just saying how stupid is this, but because when you deal with Democrats, it's like mass hysteria. They have a mental disorder, and they're going to follow along with whatever they can do. And those that are susceptible to that mass hysteria, they're going to follow those same steps.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Dawn in Batavia.
Yes, Tim Walz is not a honky. He's a German socialist whose ancestors, Sebastian Walz, was from Kuppenheim, Germany, and Baden-Baden.
You're sort of breaking up there,
Yeah.
Dawn. You said he's not a honky, he's a German socialist, which you can be both. But anyway, go ahead. What was the rest of it?
He's a German socialist whose ancestor came from Kuppenheim, Germany, in Baden-Baden.
Okay. All right. I didn't know
I wouldn't equate him with the early American coal miners from Virginia.
Okay. Thanks for the call, Dawn. Bob in Waukesha. Hey, Bob.
Hello. Oh, it's Tom.
Oh, it's Tom? All right, Tom in Waukesha.
Tom, yeah, I'm Tom from Waukesha, Wisconsin. You know, I'm touching on a point that Amy made before when she said they're missing the boat on the commercials, and they need to put into perspective and just keep pounding the numbers, the facts. Like this mindless country, they can relate to 250,000 person stadiums. You know, that's quite a number. You know, then that'll extrapolate what we're paying for these illegal immigrants. And I call them aliens. They're the illegal aliens. But, you know, somebody can dig up the money facts of what money is being spent on these people. You know, you hear about it, but they don't hear the real numbers. And I don't, they're missing a boat on the ads and exploiting them for what they are.
Right. Or even have angel moms talk about their beautiful daughters who were brutally raped and murdered. And I know that there's some out there that will speak and have spoken, but put that in an ad campaign and get that out there. Closing, the ceremonies are this weekend. There's still time.
George in Naperville.
I say, honky vice president teacher, leave us honkies alone.
Okay, very, very good. Pink Floyd there, thank you.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
In 2012, the Journal of Cognition and Emotion published a study that showed that we make a decision to trust a person within 100 milliseconds of seeing their face. Making a good first impression has never been more important, and you can make that positive impression with a professional headshot from Tom Killoran Photography. Whether you're a job seeker trying to land your next position, or you're looking to build your business by connecting with prospective clients and customers, you need a high-quality headshot to use with your resume, portfolio, website, or other marketing materials. The experts at Tom Killoran Photography can work with you to capture the exact look you need for your professional presentation. Tom Killoran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see a sample of their work, just visit KilloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN Photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Killoran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
Wow, she loves it. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I'm talking about a woman that I met at the pool. Arthritis robbed her of so much, but there's effective ways to deal with that pain without drugs or surgery. She went to QC Kinetics. They use cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizes your joints so you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain like my new friend I met at the pool, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, and restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. Call them today for a free consultation. They'll walk you through the process, tell you how it all works. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee, and Saturday appointments are available. 312-809-5955. Write it down, 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Jason Zenger, owner of Zenger's Industrial Supply and host of the Making Chips podcast, and a proud customer of Signature Bank. Through rapid growth, acquisitions of competitors, and taking over from the previous generation, Signature Bank was there with us every step of the way. Recently, the team introduced us to FinRails AP, their proprietary system for accounts payable automation. Not only did FinRails AP help us to reduce costs and create efficiencies, but it also helped minimize fraud risk. Now, our company can invest time into what we do best, supplying industrial products, metalworking tooling, contractor tools, and safety supplies to those who make, build, and create great things for our country.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Rollins family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Rollins Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RollandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Rollins Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
In 2012, the Journal of Cognition and Emotion published a study that showed that we make a decision to trust a person within 100 milliseconds of seeing their face. Making a good first impression has never been more important, and you can make that positive impression with a professional headshot from Tom Killoran Photography. Whether you're a job seeker trying to land your next position, or you're looking to build your business by connecting with prospective clients and customers, you need a high-quality headshot to use with your resume, portfolio, website, or other marketing materials. The experts at Tom Killoran Photography can work with you to capture the exact look you need for your professional presentation. Tom Killoran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see a sample of their work, just visit KilloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN Photography.com, or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Killoran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Much more to discuss with respect to the Harris-Walz record, including on the matter of crime, foreign and domestic. We will do that at 6:36.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
We're at 64 degrees. Sunshine in Chicago throughout this day, but not in North Carolina, where they're bracing for heavy rain and possible deadly tornadoes from Tropical Storm Debbie. Meteorologist Haley Meyer has more details on the winds hitting South Carolina.
Not a great sign for the Northeast or for New England, which has also been dealing with some pretty serious flash flooding lately. As this storm finally gets a little pep in its step, moves up the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, it's going to encounter a cold front. And that cold front is going to be just enough lift that will squeeze out all the moisture Debbie has left to offer once it makes its sort of post-tropical transition towards the Northeast, creating torrential downpours from D.C. up towards Caribou, Maine even, throughout the rest of the week.
At least 6 have been killed. Taylor Swift canceling all of her concerts in Austria this weekend because of a terror plot. Austrian officials say 2 suspects have been taken into custody, including a 19-year-old Austrian citizen who has allegedly pledged allegiance to the leader of the Islamic State. Senator J.D. Vance accusing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz of stolen valor. At a campaign event in Detroit, the Republican VP candidate claimed Walz abandoned his unit in the National Guard just before it was deployed to Iraq. The vice president Kamala Harris's running mate has been a failure, according to Vance, on public safety, including the handling of riots in 2020. Walz says his decision to retire came months before any notice of deployment and went after Donald Trump in Michigan last night.
We know Donald Trump's taking us backwards, and don't believe the act. He's playing dumb. He knows exactly what Project 2025 is going to do to our personal liberties. Destroy unions, rig the economy for the ultra-wealthy.
Walz and Harris are headed back to swing states again today, while J.D. Vance will rally in Raleigh, North Carolina. Powerful earthquake struck off Japan's southern coast, triggering today a tsunami advisory. Residents are being urged to stay away from the coastline. 2 astronauts who flew to the International Space Station on the Starliner spacecraft could be stuck up there until February. The astronauts blasted off in the Boeing spacecraft back in June and were expected to return 8 days later, but issues with the Starliner have forced them to remain on board the ISS. One man is dead, pulled from Lake Michigan near the Adler Planetarium in Chicago. 2 men jumped into the lake yesterday in the 1300 block of DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Both were rescued. One was rushed to a nearby hospital and later died. An autopsy is scheduled for later today. While crews continue their search for a missing Minnesota teen who disappeared in Lake Michigan and northwest Indiana this week, the 17-year-old was in the water Tuesday near Beverly Shores when he went missing. Governor Pritzker wading into local politics, calling for another elected official, Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell, to resign over the response to the deadly shooting of Sonia Massey.
He has failed to explain how he ended up hiring this deputy sheriff who has been fired from other departments. He failed to put forward reforms that clearly need to be made, training and other reforms, and still has failed to meet with the Massey family.
And finally, 3 Illinois farms, including 2 right here in northern Illinois, are among around 75 around the U.S. and Canada taking part in a maize tribute to Peanuts, one of America's beloved comic strips. In northern Illinois, you can see the Snoopy mazes crafted at All Seasons Orchard in Woodstock and at the Kuiper family farm in Maple Park. Cubs over the Twins 8-2, while the White Sox are back in the loss column, falling to Oakland 3-2. The news service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Hot air roasted locally, cold blended in small batches. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees another overreach from Biden.
A federal appeals court just blocked President Biden's latest plan to transfer outstanding student loan debt to American taxpayers. These people, the way they lie and distort, the courts say he doesn't have the authority to end student debt.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
You've worked hard and accumulated wealth, but you know the pitfalls involved in passing significant assets to your heirs. The team at Spahn Financial will help you feel secure with personalized financial planning to achieve your legacy goals. They anticipate and manage all your wealth planning needs and focus on the full financial picture, including tax efficiency, income distribution throughout retirement, philanthropic giving, estate planning, and more. They even help you prepare the next generation to be good stewards. Kevin Spahn is a 2024 Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisor and Barron's Top 1200 Financial Advisor. Visit SpahnFinancial.com to schedule a consultation and to view disclosures. That's SPAHMFinancial.com. Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisors List, April 2024. Data as of 6/30/2023. Barron's Top 1200 Financial Advisors List, March 2024. Data as of 9/30/2023. No compensation provided for ratings. Marketing fees apply to promote ratings.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they want you to think that unlimited data is fantastic. Well, the fact is, it's not. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, only charges you for data that you need. For just $25 a month, you get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Save money, same service with Pure Talk.
The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:39, let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update on the roads is a service of Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance with Allstate? Well, you could easily save and get quality protection. It's a win-win, so what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Inbound Kennedy 46 and climbing O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go on the inbound Stevenson, Harlem to Kedzie. Seeing delays as well on the Bishop Ford and I-57. Jamming into the Ryan Merge on the south end. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Just a nice day. Clouds and sun 83. Partly cloudy 59 overnight tomorrow. Another beautiful day. Breezy, not as warm. High 76. 64 and partly cloudy at O'Hare. In Joliet, it's clear and 60. Kankakee 60 degrees. Lansing, fog and 60. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, continuing our effort to pour over the Harris-Walz record of accomplishment. Brandon Judd has this op-ed over at RealClearPolitics.com. Brandon Judd is the former president of the National Border Patrol Council, been a Border Patrol agent since 97, served under Presidents Clinton, W., Obama, Trump, Biden. And he was National Border Patrol Council head from 2013 until earlier this year. He writes about the current regime, including its borders arena. I wanted President Biden and Vice President Harris to succeed, and I did my best work with their administration. When VP Harris was charged with leading our country's response to the worsening border crisis, I presented her with several policy proposals to help reduce the influx of migrants, stop cartels from taking advantage of innocent people for monetary gain, and halt deadly fentanyl from entering our communities. She shot them down. By the way, I mean, just in terms of this effort to whitewash Kamala's tenure as the point person, the borders arena, examining root causes, Judd reports that Mayorkas assured me my policy program and operational suggestions would be passed up the chain of command. So the Homeland Security Secretary, where else do you go other than to the Oval Office? So, I mean, it's abundantly clear. I know we know this, but it's nice to have Brandon Judd give a first-person account. Anyway, on the substance of the matter, she shot down his proposals. Of course she did, because she's for open borders. She's right. Thinks that defunding ICE is something that we need to talk about. It's an interesting idea. Judd goes on to write, instead of addressing cartels and the human devastation they cause to migrants and citizens alike, Border Czar Harris tried to explain away the border crisis as a climate and political instability issue, even though people from Over 160 nationalities have tried to enter the country during my tenure as an agent. Since then, of course, we've all watched the results of her action unfold before our eyes. This is an interesting data point that he provides. Cartel leaders who will commit human atrocities to fund their efforts for power and corruption are raking in $13 billion in annual profits today compared to $500 million in 2018. Of course, revenue is just one part of the story, but it buys a lot of influence and corrupt influence, malign influence. $500 million in profits annually in 2018, $13 billion today, 26-fold increase in the last 6 years. And I would suspect that most of that has been in the last 4. Wow. But he goes on to say, again, things we know, but it's nice to hear him say it. She has not seen the harsh realities of the humanitarian crisis at our border. She only visited once within a politically safe sector. She cares only about optics, not results. I've worked with Vice President Harris, Secretary Mayorkas, and other officials in the Harris-Biden administration. But the big guy's still in charge.
Yeah, he's still giving interviews.
Harris knows that the border crisis is the direct result of her and Biden's policies. She knows the solutions. She refuses to implement them. I've questioned whether she is so power hungry that she is willing to deny reality to appease her political base, or whether she is just dangerously incompetent. I concluded she is both. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. You know, those are the sorts of accounts that need to get a broader dissemination to advance the conversation about the real impact. It's not just about the statistics, as you were saying before, in terms of profiling angel moms, as Trump has done consistently over the last 8 years. You need to tell the stories and to really force people to confront what we are suborning. You don't avert your eyes. Look at the screen. Listen to this mom. Listen to this family. Look at who these people are that we're letting in, and look at what they've done. Look at what open borders has wrought.
And you could also, I'm not changing the subject, but focus on BLM. You had a governor who let Minneapolis burn, and then you had Kamala Harris who raised money to bail out those arsonists. And a few of them went on to murder. Like, there's so many angles you could take with this campaign that I hope that they're focusing and sitting down right now as we speak and getting their message together.
Well, it's the destruction of America at the hands of people both foreign and domestic. And that's the nexus between what they allowed to run wild domestically and then what they've imported to augment the disintegration of America's major cities and spiraling out into certainly suburban areas as well. On the Freedom Fund piece, the Minnesota Freedom
Fund.
And again, some of these, you've seen the videos of the sorts of criminals that Kamala's fundraising efforts for the Minnesota Freedom Fund bailed out. And again, the real criticism from the left should be, what's this with bail in Minnesota? Governor Walz, why didn't you take care of that? We have a governor in Illinois who did. This is a footnote, too, that's really interesting. In addition to Tim Walz letting Minneapolis burn, not calling out the National Guard, Walz appointed the executive director of the Minnesota Freedom Fund, a woman named Tanya Honce, to the state's Sentencing Guidelines Commission. He even kept her on after she admitted she faked an indigenous ancestry like Elizabeth Warren did. So you appointed somebody who does not believe people who riot, loot, commit arson, burn down your city to your Sentencing Guidelines Commission. Again, this is a below-the-fold factoid, but it speaks to the larger commitment to lawlessness in advance of political interests that both Harris and Walz are committed to. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And consistent with that, when it was those heady days when statues were being ripped down, like here.
Oh, yeah. Those 75% were from out of town, but yes, they injured an officer, and he doesn't have vision in his left eye, but that's all right. Nobody remembers that except for us.
The Columbus statue outside of the Capitol in St. Paul, that was taken down too. Here was Governor Walz's response.
It was an act of civil disobedience that we need to make sure people feel that there is a proper outlet to address what are legitimate concerns around what they view as a genocidal monument that they have to walk to in their democracy.
What? Can you play that again? A genocidal monument that they have to walk to in their democracy.
Well, you have to get in our democracy, and so he shoehorned it in there because he's another talking point cipher, identitarian talking point cipher. So, but the larger point is, legitimate grievances, and so
destruction of property.
To lodge a legitimate grievance is to commit vandalism. That's a legitimate expression of having a grievance. I see. Well, I mean, if your politics are of a certain kind, I suppose. Yeah. That's who you're talking about. You're talking about somebody who makes him happy. You want to know what makes Tim Walz happy? We all do.
What?
What makes him happy?
Date nights with Gwen?
Is knowing there are people in Congress that are anti-Semitic terrorist sympathizers.
Something I'll never get tired of saying, I think all of you, Congresswoman Omar, wonderful. Doesn't that sound?
Oh, wonderful. The best.
When I'm having a tough day or I'm out on about mile 5 of my run and I'm feeling kind of down and the world's pressing on me, I think Ilhan Omar's a congresswoman, and it just brightens you up. So thank you.
First of all, I thought lying about his military record was bad. Now you're going to lie to us about running 5 miles a day? Really? Indefensible. Bob and Waukegan, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Get his running shoes back.
Yeah, I came up with a slogan for a T-shirt when Biden and Harris were in, but never acted on it. But now it works especially well. It's MAGA, and then below it put "or dead." Make America great again, or destroy everything American daily. Pretty much works.
Destroy everything American. Okay, all right. Thanks for the call, Bob. Trying to get that visual in my head.
Right. And here's Tim. I'm sorry, Tampon Tim, after he let his city burn, and why he didn't call in the National Guard.
A society that does not put equity and inclusion at the center of it is certainly going to eventually come to the places where we're at. I think the mayor said I request a National Guard. This is great. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks. Trying to make sure we don't see our cities burn. This is that catch-22. The more police are there, the more tension it is. The more tension it is, the more chance you have to get things. Don't ever shy away from our progressive values.
Yeah, he's got a real interesting philosophy on law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
John in Milwaukee, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. It's not about the issues. It's about abortion. And if that doesn't work, we'll change the sex of your child. I don't think the United States is ready for Californication yet. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the call, John.
I think I heard him say it's all going to be about abortion. All right, that's what the DNC, which starts a week from Monday, is going to be. We're going to have to hear about all these women's abortion stories.
The Associated Press reporting that there's been a slight increase in baby killing in utero since Roe was overturned. So,
why are they using that as a form of birth control?
Yeah, the issue. I thought the overturning of Roe was going to eliminate all abortions. It was going to go back alley and all these other hysterical pronouncements. But as long as you have places like Illinois and California and New York and other states, abortions are, I mean, I'm not happy to report this, obviously, because I'm pro-life, but abortions are up. So, I mean, just in terms of actual facts, actually the reality that Hinsdale P-hats don't want to confront. I mean, this is what the actual effect was. It goes to the states and you hash it out. And that's the position Trump has. And on the other side, you have Tim Walz and Kamala Harris. Tim Walz actually is even more pro-abortion than Kamala Harris, if that's even possible. Probably not substantively. They're the same. Abortion on demand, all 9 months, including after birth, taxpayer funded. That's both of their positions. They're both huge proponents of abortion. Not of a woman's right to choose. They're proponents of abortion. Tim Walz, his joke is to say, Nancy Pelosi told me to tone it down because I'm so pro-Planned Parenthood. And what was that about not being an effete coastal elite? No, he's an effete peahat from Minnesota. They exist up there, too.
No.
These Farmer Labor Party, Wisconsin, Lafayette progressive types. They're just as awful as the coastal elites.
Yeah, but Nancy Pelosi saying, no, put on the brakes, Dan. He's not that left.
Tim Walz, I know very well. He served in the House. To characterize him as left is so unreal. It's just not what the question. He's right down the middle. He's a heartland of America Democrat.
I mean, once again, they're trying to change the facts right in front of your face. Media, politicians.
Well, of course, that's how they're going to brand him.
And he's not left. Oh, my God.
Marty in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Couple things. First of all, the only way this clown would run 5 miles a day if he was chasing a pork chop on a stick.
There you go.
Second of all, they're saying he's a linebackers coach. I played football at Elk Grove High School in the 70s, and a linebackers coach is the guy who picked up the towels when we were done. And third, Dan Bernstein would love to interview this guy because he was a linebackers coach. So tell this guy to call the score. But anyway, he ain't running no 5 miles a day.
Thanks for the call, Marty. I think actually he was the DEI consultant to the linebackers coach.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code BETTER and get 15% off your first purchase with code BETTER, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME deodorant.com, code BETTER for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME deodorant.com, code BETTER to save 15% today.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT smart connected scanning technology. IoT smart connected scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba.
Hey, let me tell you about our age analysis assessment. It takes just a few seconds to scan for those advanced glycated end products that cause premature aging. And then we'll briefly go over your results and give you a few things for you to do to improve. And then we'll retest you in about 60 days. And you'll pay our special low price for your first assessment, and I'll pay for your second one. That's right, your follow-up age analysis assessment is on me. And we're going to compare your biologic age with your chronologic age, and then we're going to help you determine if your biologic age is on par with your chronologic age. But you got to make that call today, not tomorrow, but today. It's our Health Quest radio hotline, 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Second assessment free if you make that call right now. 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. It's telling that Kamala Harris chose Tim Walz for her VP nominee. Usually the candidate at the top of the ticket is looking for some kind of balance or to communicate something to the voting public. What is being said with the Harris pick of Walz? The rap on Harris is that she is incompetent and the farthest left nominee to a major ticket in history. Did she pick serious? Did she pick non-left? No, she didn't even pick someone from a state that could help her in the general. She picked a far-left governor with a state of failing indicators, falling education scores, rising crime, and net out migration, all the province for which governors are held responsible. She had the choice to go moderate with an electoral college delegate-rich state that is always in play for Republicans and Democrats alike, but didn't. Only a week ago, Tim Walz was promoting socialism as nothing more than neighborliness, touting progressivism as a good thing. When someone tells you who they are, to quote Tim Walz, believe them. I'm Seth Leibson.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We do need to take perhaps a cleansing break, talk a little Olympics, since we've got that exciting women's boxing final on tap at 7:07.
Yeah, with two dudes. All right, today it's going to be gorgeous, a high of 83 degrees. It is now 7 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
A tragedy was prevented. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what officials are saying in Vienna, Austria, the day after 3 Taylor Swift concerts were canceled over a terror plot. Those are Swift fans singing in the streets in Vienna a short time ago. 2 suspects are in custody, aged 17 and 19.
Austrian security officials say they found Al-Qaeda and ISIS material at the home of the younger suspect, and that the older one fully confessed his plans. It's alleged the 2 young men wanted to kill as many people as possible outside the stadium using knives or homemade explosives.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. After being stalled offshore, soaking the Carolina coast, Tropical Storm Debbie's made landfall again 3 days after hitting Florida as a hurricane, causing flooding. It's still full of heavy rain.
5 to 8 inches, isolated amounts of maybe a foot of rain, depending on where the trajectory leads the storm, and the potential, for the flooding. That is going to be the legacy of this storm.
Debbie blamed for 6 deaths. That's Fox meteorologist Janice Dean. Former President Trump just posted on Truth Social he'll hold a news conference at his Florida resort this afternoon as his campaign criticizes Vice President Harris for not answering questions since she became the Democratic candidate. She held big rallies in Wisconsin and Michigan where the vice president told pro-Palestinian protesters interrupting her.
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
2 astronauts who went to space on an 8-day mission in June are still there. NASA says they could be stuck there till February.
Helium leaks and propulsion issues on the Boeing Starliner left astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams stranded at the International Space Station, now going on 2 months. And tensions are running high between NASA and Boeing over the readiness of the spacecraft to return to Earth. It took years of stumbles and delays before Boeing finally launched its first spacecraft carrying NASA astronauts.
That's Chandler Painter. America's listening to Fox News.
64 degrees, sunshine. It's 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka.
One man is dead after being pulled from Lake Michigan near the Adler Planetarium. Police say 2 men jumped into the lake yesterday in the 1300 block of DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Both were rescued shortly afterward. One was rushed to a nearby hospital where he later died. Crews continue their search for a Minnesota teen who disappeared in Lake Michigan in northwest Indiana. Officials say the 17-year-old boy was in the water Tuesday near Beverly Shores, Indiana, when he went missing.
Conditions as yesterday, and they have no knowledge that there's a person, a 17-year-old boy, on vacation, dead in the water.
According to the Great Lakes Surf Project's Dave Benjamin, 28 have died in the lakes this year, 10 in Lake Michigan. The Pritzker administration continues to expand pro-abortion policies in the state.
Is it right that Illinois taxpayers are going to provide these services at their expense to minor children without the knowledge of their parents? It's just astounding to me.
State Senator Joe Tracy speaking out against the governor's bills that ensure a pregnant woman can access needed emergency medical care and expands Illinois' SHIELD law. Authorities are searching for a woman wanted in a March hit and run in Crest Hill. An arrest warrant was issued for Mary Moscata, who faces 2 counts of failure to report an accident involving personal injury or death. Police say Lori and Danny Cooper were found seriously injured in the 2100 block of Plainfield Road. Both were later pronounced dead. A Joliet woman is facing charges in connection with a deadly hit and run. 35-year-old Mary Moscata has a warrant issued for her arrest. Hinsdale's Little League team punched their ticket to the Little League World Series, and a team watch party was organized in the western suburbs for family and friends to back the team as they played last night against Jasper, Indiana.
A little stressful. Wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but what a game. What a game.
Hinsdale won on a walk-off hit from Alex Vivanco in the bottom of the 8th inning to beat Jasper 8-7. An official Little League World Series schedule has yet to be finalized. Cubs over the Twins 8-2 at Wrigley Field, while the White Sox are back in the loss column, falling to the A's 3-2. NFL football is back. Preseason week 1 officially begins with the Patriots and Panthers tonight. 3 games on Friday, 9 games on Saturday, including the Bears and Bills. The news service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk explores the VP choice.
Now, on paper, you'd think that a Midwestern governor like Tim Walz, he's like a folksy Midwesterner, served as a member of Congress, governor of Minnesota. He's the safe pick. He's the safe pick if you want to now be described as the most liberal ticket in American history. It's effectively like choosing Bernie Sanders, and that is not an exaggeration.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Well, summer's here and the weather is beautiful. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints, or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
7:07, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of turnkey.pro for less than the price of a monthly car payment. Turnkey will fully protect your network. Unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk, real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro. Kennedy at 45. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Not bad on the Stevenson right now. Big jam Harlem to Kedzie, but only 48 in to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. We're tracking with an accident report. Left lane blocked. Inbound on the Dan Ryan between Garfield and Pershing. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds and sun, very nice day. High today, 83. Partly cloudy tonight, low 59. Partly sunny, breezy, not as warm tomorrow, the high 76. Breezy Saturday morning, then partly sunny, terrific day. The high Saturday, 73. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Partly cloudy at O'Hare, 64, 65 at Midways, 58 at DuPage Airport. Your Lake Michigan water temp at the Chicago Buoy, 75. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance, arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Sports and politics the last couple weeks means a focus on the Olympics, of course. And we've got a final in the offing for female boxing, a final that will feature two fighters, one from Taiwan, one from Algeria, who appear to be XY in terms of their chromosomal composition, meaning, they're not women.
Exactly.
The Algerian boxer Aman Khalif spoke out about these suggestions that she, as she claims, is a he. By the way, in a couple of these fights, including Khalif's semifinal fight against a Turkish fighter, you've had fighters do the XX, the fighters that lost to Khalif do the XX symbol after the defeat to basically say, I'm a woman and she's not, kind of thing. But here's what Khalif said earlier this week. I send a message to all people of the world to uphold the Olympics principles and the Olympic Charter, to refrain from bullying all athletes because this has effects, massive effects. It can destroy people, it can kill people's thoughts, spirit, and mind. It can divide people. And because of that, I ask them to refrain from bullying. And there's that word again, bullying.
Why, if standing up for yourself and for your rights and what is right culturally, why is that bullying?
It's not bullying. So we don't think, based on what we know, that you should be fighting in the women's event. That's all. Nothing personal, except it is personal in the sense that you shouldn't be participating.
And after defeating all the women, 2 biological men are going to compete for Olympic gold in women's boxing. I'm not going to be watching that. And I doubt that, because, I'm an Olympics junkie, they don't show this on NBC or Peacock or USA Today channel, like all the 4 channels that are airing the Olympics. I have not seen one clip of this.
I do want to
ignoring it.
Yeah, I do want to be fair to this fighter's interesting piece on Khalif by Colin Wright, who's an evolutionary biologist. We've mentioned him before in the context of these debates over the gender bending that's going on in our culture. He writes that Khalif appears to have what's known as a difference of sexual development, DSD. It's not a transgender identity. DSDs are complex and confusing enough without the added layer of ideological jargon. And he goes through some possibilities. One possibility of a a DSD, a difference of sexual development. DSDs can prevent a person who's genetically male from developing male physical traits. One is Swyer syndrome, which occurs when the SRY gene on the Y chromosome, which directs male development, is missing or inactive. Without this gene, the body can't develop testes. Instead, the gonads remain undifferentiated.
I love undifferentiated gonads.
You know what's funny about that?
Yeah.
That was the name of my high school tribute band to the Talking Heads.
Oh.
Undifferentiated gonads. You see what I did there? Yeah.
It's not a term you hear often.
We used to kill with burning down the house.
Yeah.
No testes means no testosterone production. So the fetus develops female internal and external anatomy. The lack of testosterone also prevents male puberty, a process that confers masculine features and physical advantage in sports. So given Khalif's masculine features and upper body muscle mass that we've all seen,
Right.
we can almost certainly rule out Swyer syndrome. So Swyer syndrome down,
Okay.
not the DSD.
Possibly, could he be a hermaphrodite?
Please stay out of this lane of evolutionary biology
I'm
and just throwing out terms that
No,
confuse
I mean,
the issue.
it's hermaphrodites. You're a kind of a guy and kind of a girl.
Well, yeah.
Well, does he have
thank
a
you.
vagi-
Yeah, just take it easy, Jamie Lee Curtis. We'll get to this. All right. Another possibility is complete or partial androgen insensitivity syndrome, known respectively as CAIS or PAIS. Are you keeping notes
I am
out there listening?
CAIS.
This is important.
Well,
this is science.
we want to teach
men
people.
and women of science, exactly. People with this androgen insensitivity syndrome, people with this condition have XY chromosomes, develop normal testes, produce male levels of testosterone, but their cells have defective androgen receptors that respond poorly, if at all, to testosterone. People with this syndrome exhibit a totally female external presentation despite being biologically male. Think Jim Edgar.
Adam Kinzinger.
Given Aman Khalif's androgynous appearance,
Uh-huh.
complete androgen insensitivity can be ruled out. All right. So we've ruled out androgen insensitivity. I know this is now you can have an intelligent, complete discussion on the topic. We've ruled out Swyer syndrome and we've ruled out androgen insensitivity syndrome. Well, I haven't. Colin Wright, who's an evolutionary biologist, has. He goes on to say the most probable DSD, and again, DSD, difference of sexual development. And humanity is complicated. There are mutations and so forth, and let's be respectful, but also draw sensible lines. That's what we're doing here. It's not attacking. I'm not transphobic. It's not attacking anybody. All this silliness. The most probable DSD for Khalif is a 5-alpha reductase deficiency. Or 5-ARD, as it's commonly known.
I love 5-ARD. I mean, I've been waiting 14 years to talk about this.
FARD.
I got your FARD right here.
5-ARD.
Right here, buddy.
People with 5-ARD, or FARD, as we call it in the business,
Mhm.
have XY chromosomes and testes that produce testosterone. But because of a gene mutation affecting the 5-alpha reductase enzyme, their testosterone can't be converted to dihydrotestosterone, which is essential for developing male genitals. People with 5-ARD, or FARD, as we call it in the business, though biologically male, are born with female-appearing or ambiguous external genitals.
Okay. Can I interrupt for a second?
Wait a second.
Okay.
Ambiguous external genitals was the name of a band I played bass on in college.
Cover band for?
It was a cover band for Heart. And people
Barracuda?
People thought I bore a striking resemblance to Nancy Wilson. So people with 5-ARD or FARD are born with female-appearing or ambiguous external genitals, leading to potential misidentification as female at birth. Many people with 5-ARD are raised as girls, only discovering their condition at puberty when their internal testes trigger male puberty. This results in masculine features and a physical advantage over women in sports.
Yep. The growing of hair on the facial hair, all that. May I? I got a text message from a doctor friend.
Okay.
Okay, to put this in simpler terms, for people from Mount Prospect.
Yes.
The boxer has an abnormality that just happened to not allow him to grow a penis. It's no different than someone being born without an arm or a leg or whatever part. It doesn't change that he has XY chromosomes. He's still a guy.
Well, that's exactly where Colin Wright is going, but he's providing all the supporting documentation.
Okay.
And there's precedence for this too. South Africa's Caster Semenya. He has been a point of controversy too. Semenya won Olympic gold in the 800 meters twice, has 5 ARD, just like Colin Wright suspects Khalif does.
All right.
Trans activists describe the runner as a cisgender woman with a vagina who naturally produces high level of testosterone. The mainstream media misinformation campaign was so effective, many are unaware that Semenya is biologically male with functioning testes and XY chromosomes. So the point here is that Khalif, and this is Wright's conclusion, shouldn't be able to compete because and to your doctor friend's point, the XY chromosomes and the testosterone attendant to that, it provides an unfair advantage, allowing these are Colin Wright's words, allowing males to compete against females in any sport requiring strength or speed is unfair, but including them in women's combat sports completely disregards women's safety. It isn't an exaggeration to say that disregarding biology in the name of ideology may get someone killed, as we've talked about. I mean, so it's just the backstory science on it, because as I said, you don't want to just get into the sloganeering that the left does for political reasons. You want to also understand it and recognize there are some gradations here. But the net is, if Wright is correct about 5 ARD, and we have precedent with the South African runner, then it's clear that Khalif and perhaps the Taiwanese fighter have an advantage, and they shouldn't be fighting as women or competing in, especially in events that require that are predicated on speed and strength. They shouldn't be competing there. I'm sure Riley Gaines would agree.
And how apropos that they're fighting each other for Olympic gold later today.
Robert and Lyle.
Yeah, hi. Is there such a thing as a low blow in female boxing? Because that would solve the matter. If I was a woman fighting a guy, I'd be doing a low blow every time I get a chance.
Yeah.
Keep
it above the belt.
Is it above the belt, or can you go underneath the belt?
Keep it above the belt. Yeah.
Well, don't look at me like that. No.
MMA,
you can do whatever you want, right? Is that the one where you can squeeze their head between your legs?
Well, those are submission moves and stuff.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That stuff's brutal. That's gladiators type of things.
It is human cockfighting, as John
Yes.
McCain once called it. But there is artistry to it, I will admit, especially the great MMA, fighters like the Gracie family and stuff. Anyway, I digress. By the way, it's not just that Italian fighter, Angela Carini, who was crying foul about Khalif. I mean, we mentioned the fighters making XX signals. Another fighter that Khalif beat in December of 2022, Brianda Tamara, was beaten up so severely she couldn't believe she escaped without a major injury. This was months before Khalif was disqualified ahead of the IBA, International Boxing Association's Women's World Boxing Championship finals due to the high levels of testosterone, per what Colin Wright is talking about and so forth. Anyway, Brianda Tamara, when I fought with her, I felt very out of my depth. Her blows hurt me a lot. I don't think I've ever felt like that in my 13 years as a boxer, nor in sparring with men. Thank God that day I got out of the ring safely, and it's good that they finally realized that, it was unfair that she was fighting in a sanctioned event like that. So, yeah, but I mean, again, this has become political, so everybody sort of runs to their sides and waves their, LGBTQIA plus two spirit plus flags on the one side, and then people try to be commonsensical on the other side, saying, basically, men or people with a developmental mutation that provides them the same advantage, and it shouldn't be fighting women. And the simplest way to do this is what we said from the beginning, which is there's a real clear way to draw a line of demarcation. XX, XY. Go to your separate cohorts. David in Lansing, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, guys. I think that those on the right are making logical arguments, such as yourself, in order to try to solve this problem of women, men going into women's sports, but it's not working because the left doesn't care about our arguments. So I think the solution to this would be to use their own lack of logic against them. So those of us on the right that need a job and there's a company looking for a set amount of women, to join the force there, men should just have call themselves a woman, and then try to get the job there and say, you're discriminating against a woman. So use it in the workforce. Use their own lack of logic against them in the workforce and try to get hired that way. So it'll point out the absurdity of the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think people want to live their lives though as political guinea pigs. I mean, that's just not how it works. You have to sort of win the argument, so the rules of the game are such that they are sensible and reflective of reality and fair and rooted in merit. This is the way I think to take up the fight. Kathleen in Avalon Park.
Hi, good morning, Dan and Amy. Two quick points, but first, since you mentioned Brianna Tamara from the Mexican boxer, interesting you mentioned that because had she won, she would have actually fought the Italian fighter because the one that she lost to the Algerian man was a qualifying match to get into the Olympics. So
thank you, Dr. Ferdy Pacheco. You're a female boxing fan, Kathleen.
No, I've been watching the Olympics, so when they brought that up, yeah. So
another Olympic junkie on the line. Thank you.
All right.
But actually, I've enjoyed the Olympics. It's been great.
Yeah.
And the only
what happened to the Jamaican 4x100 team? How did those guys not qualify? What happened to that? The 4x100 relay team for the Jamaicans? Do they need to bring Usain? Do they need to bring
They
Usain?
didn't run fast enough.
Thank you. Do they need to
It's
bring
real
Usain
simple.
Bolt out of retirement or what?
Well, I didn't see the 4x100 yet. The 400, that relay team. You mean when the Dutch won, when Femke Bol came back from behind?
No, I mean
that was a great run.
Well, yeah, I saw that.
I
see
was
that highlight.
And
I also like that.
Yeah.
I saw this chick in the hurdles.
Chick?
Yeah, chick.
Dan.
Sydney
McLaughlin.
Yeah. She's like a female Edwin Moses.
Yes, Edwin Moses. He's terrific. Actually, Sydney McLaughlin, Sydney McLaughlin Levrone, she's married now.
Yeah.
I believe that final is going to be tonight, or today, I should say.
She's going to win it going away. I mean, she's like cruising through the competition. She's impressive.
And then breakdancing
starts
starts
tough
tomorrow.
competition with Femke Bol, the Dutch woman. But yeah, she's outstanding.
Yeah. You always gotta watch out for the Dutch.
But no, if you didn't see that 4x400 relay,
no,
the mixed relay, that was fantastic. She came from behind in Budapest during the World Championship last year as well. So
all right.
it was
You should be like a color analyst on MS and NBC with your Olympics knowledge. But anyway, I diverted your attention from boxing, so please finish your thought on that.
Oh, yeah, I just had two quick points I wanted to make regarding the commercial issue. Earlier, you mentioned at the top of the show, or the beginning of the show, that President Trump did not need to have commercials because he's a known quantity, and that Harris needed to have commercials in order to rebrand herself. And I thought that's the very reason I disagreed, respectfully, I disagreed, because I think that Trump needs to have commercials for that very reason. And that's because he needs to actually shake things up and not allow Harris to rebrand herself.
No, what I said was he didn't need to do a national ad campaign the way that she is. It doesn't matter if Trump's not on in the Chicago market the way Kamala is because Illinois doesn't matter. his focus is on swing states. But I agree that he should be advertising the Olympics and swing states, and I think he should take advantage of some of these controversies to wade in, like take a clip from him at a rally saying men shouldn't be in women's sports and play it during the Olympics. Things like that, a little bit of jujitsu to generate a little bit of fleeting controversy over a sporting event that will quickly dissipate in people's minds in a couple of weeks. I think is a good opportunity for him that he's not seizing. That's not quite what I said.
Okay. Well, then, I apologize. I guess I misunderstood.
That's all right.
So, yes, it is very, very frustrating as a Trump supporter watching the Olympics, thoroughly enjoying them, and seeing a Harris campaign ad from the FAFF PAC and also from the Harris campaign literally every other commercial break, and not seeing a Trump campaign, or even it doesn't even have to be a Trump campaign ad. It could be a PAC ad, a GOP ad, any type of counterattack, something, anything, and I'm seeing nothing. So that's frustrating. And then my second point is, at some point, it would be great to hear a conversation on Morning Answer with Laura Powell. I don't know if you got a chance to see her post, but she posted about the updated, she's from Californians for Good Governance, and she posted about Harris's updated statement of candidacy, Form 2, that was recently filed with the FCC. I think further convoluting Harris's, I think, huge scandal about her candidate number. And she's mixing up her personal VP candidate ID number with her presidential campaign candidate ID number and using that to spend all of Biden's money. And it, to me, should be a huge national story, and no one is covering this, and she's using up Biden's money, and the FEC doesn't care about it. And so Laura Powell covered this in her post with Californians for Good Governance, and I think it would be a great conversation.
Thanks for the call, Kathleen. Appreciate it. Will and Skokie.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I have a daughter who is trans, and whenever we get into these discussions and arguments, she keeps bringing up, as you pointed out, all these little teeny details, these complex biological things, mutations and abnormalities and stuff where, like, it's less than 1% of the population that has this.
Yes.
And basically what it is, it's a red herring argument. This is what the left always does. They pull out these little teeny minuscule things and assume that they apply to everything, and that they should be given equal weight to everything. It's an XX or XY chromosome thing. That's the issue. Case closed. Anything else is a red herring. Thanks.
Thanks, Will. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
Good morning. I'm thinking of the Don Clark-Nesh ads that they had years ago defining who Don Clark-Nesh was, the straight shooter ad. Although I guess today they would have a different connotation. But now is the time to define. Now is the time to define the other candidates. I mean, that's what happened with Don Clark-Nesh. Phelan was thinking, oh, everybody's at home watching this and that. Yeah, they're at home watching TV, and they were barraged by ads.
I agree with you. I mean, I don't know the frequency of, like, for example, the border ad that Trump has aired, what the frequency is in the swing states that matter. But I agree with you. You shouldn't just be sitting back. Trump shouldn't be sitting back and allowing Kamala free reign to, along with the D.C. press corps' help, to repackage and reintroduce herself as someone she's not, that he should be in the business of the rush to define. I agree with that. All right, coming up at 7:37, we'll take some more of your calls and return to the Harris-Walz ticket and the battle for definition of said. 7:37.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:32, 64 degrees, and a strong earthquake and tsunami warning in Japan today. Here's Fox's Jonathan Savage.
The 7.1 magnitude earthquake was centered off the coast of Japan's southern Kyushu island. Staff at nuclear power plants have been checking for damage with none found so far. The airport nearest the epicenter, Miyazaki, reported broken windows, and Japan's famous high-speed bullet trains have been suspended. There's a tsunami warning out as a result of the quake, the country's meteorological agency predicting 3-foot waves. The last deadly earthquake in Japan was on January 1st this year, when 240 people were killed. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Kamala Harris and her new running mate, Tim Walz, on the campaign trail in battleground states of Wisconsin and Michigan. In Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Harris delivered a series of attacks against her political rival, Donald Trump.
This campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. It's about two very different visions for our nation.
Senator J.D. Vance was in Wisconsin, telling members of the press they must feel lonely traveling with the Harris campaign.
I think it's really disgraceful, both for Kamala Harris, but also for a lot of the American media that participates in this stuff, to have a person who has been the presumptive nominee of the Democrat Party for 17 days and refuses to take a single question from the American media.
This morning, the Minnesota Supreme Court is upholding the year-old law restoring the right to vote for felons upon their release from prison. It's a measure pushed by Governor Tim Walz, now the VP pick of the Democrat Party. One man is dead, pulled from Lake Michigan near Adler Planetarium in Chicago. 2 men jumped into the lake yesterday in the 1300 block of South DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Both were rescued by Marine Unit and Dive Unit members. One of the men was later sent to the hospital and died. Crews are continuing their search for a Minnesota teen who disappeared in Lake Michigan in northwest Indiana. The 17-year-old was in the water Tuesday near Beverly Shores, Indiana, when he went under.
Where this is almost the same conditions as yesterday, and they have no knowledge that there's a person, a 17-year-old boy, on vacation, dead in the water.
Great Lakes Surf Project's Dave Benjamin near northwest Indiana yesterday saying 28 have died on the lakes this year, 10 in Lake Michigan. Governor Pritzker wading into local politics and calling for another elected official to resign. Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell.
He has failed to explain how he ended up hiring this deputy sheriff who has been fired from other departments. He failed to put forward reforms that clearly need to be made, training and other reforms, and still has failed to meet with the Massey family.
A bicyclist was killed in a hit-and-run crash in Skokie Tuesday night. A 31-year-old man, now identified by his family as Carlos Medina, was riding his bike to work near Oakton and fell to the ground when he was struck by a car. One driver remained on the scene. Another struck the Medina in the street and continued driving eastbound, according to police on Oakton. Hinsdale's Little League team punched their ticket to the Little League World Series Wednesday night with an 8-7 walk-off win over Jasper, Indiana. An official Little League World Series schedule now has yet to be finalized. The big boys were playing yesterday. Cubs over the Twins, 8-2. Sox back in the loss column, falling in Oakland, 3-2. The news, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over if you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP. You could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka knows exactly how the VP choice went.
We know who the Kamala campaign had chosen. It was the Jewish governor of Pennsylvania. A video had been leaked congratulating him, but it was not enough. His groveling to the pro-jihadi wing of the Democrat Party availed him naught because the Jewish governor was thrown under the bus.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
After 30 years of doing knee and hip replacements, Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup thought there had to be a better way, and that led him to regenerative medicine.
I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it.
Now, after 20 years of successful orthobiologic treatments, lots of clinical data, research, and teaching, Dr. Scheinkup is National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
They've done an amazing job of becoming the most significant orthobiologic and regenerative medicine practice in the United States. QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
So if you have chronic pain from arthritis and you want to avoid drugs and surgery, call the experts in this revolutionary field, QC Kinetics.
To give patients real lasting relief from pain, that's what I live for. That's my mission.
Get your free consultation now. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
This ad furnished by Nesmith Taju LLC. Offer not valid in all states or prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Great. Maxed out cards, rent is due, bills are piling up. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
We should do what my brother did. He went to GetCash.com and got $3,000.
With our bad credit?
GetCash.com is different. They're one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000.
I'm sure there's a lot of paperwork.
Nope. My brother said it was fast and easy. He did it right from his phone.
If you have a regular source of income, you can be approved for a loan of up to $5,000 in minutes, and your cash can hit your bank account as soon as the next day. Our lenders have millions of dollars to lend regardless of your credit history.
Great news! I went to getcash.com and we'll have our money as soon as tomorrow.
Wow, that is fast.
If you need extra cash, go to getcash.com. That's getcash.com. Getcash.com.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
7:40. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It is a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally, cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Online, papanicholas.com. Kennedy, 54 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson stop and go Harlem to Kedzie, 40 minutes from the Tri-State into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Derry in an accident, 75th and Cass. Bartlett an accident, Stearns and Bartlett Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Just a beautiful day. Sun and clouds, high 83. Partly cloudy and 59 overnight. Partly sunny and not as warm tomorrow, high 76. Currently partly sunny and 65. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Interesting perspective. Hey, remember cancel culture?
Yeah, I remember.
Remember when people were losing their jobs for saying the wrong things, particularly in institutions of alleged higher learning, places that are supposed to be free marketplace of ideas? This was something that was that had left many of us, myself included, aghast. And then we just forgot about it and accepted it as just part of the landscape, right? Isn't that what we did? You think it's gotten better? A friend of mine makes the point that the problem with conservatives is that we're always coming in. Some of us try to make the slippery slope argument. This is the road we're headed down. But then you're ridiculed as a nutcase. That's never going to happen. I don't know what you're talking about. And then, of course, in a couple of years it happens. This is a good example of this would be marriage redefinition. Marriage redefinition, then the gender-bending politics will move to gender identity, and it'll be taught in every grade in K through 12 education. I don't know what kind of kindergarten you send your kids to. I don't know what you're talking about. How about today? Do you know what I'm talking about? But, the people who snicker, then a decade later, when it comes to pass, they're like, oh, what happened? How did this happen? Where did this come from? Oh, yeah, I know. You were snickering at conservatives going along with the new Bolsheviks, and now you don't like where we inevitably ended up. The second everyone reaches the bottom of the slope, conservatives immediately adjust because they seem to be surviving, finding the new normal, or they deem that the hill is not worth dying on. It's not worth the effort because there's nothing that can be done about it politically. This is my friend's review of it. So we move on, and we move onto a bizarre world where it's considered conservative to say that teenage boys shouldn't be allowed to take showers in the high school girls' locker room. That's conservative now.
I know.
Or it's considered conservative to argue, mutilating children should not occur until, that they decide as an adult, till they are of age, 18 years old, they decide as an adult what they want to do. That's conservative. Christo-fascist. It was never going to happen, though, and now it's happening. How did it happen? Huh.
Well, in Minnesota, there's the trans refuge law that Walz signed into an executive order last year, and it basically allows minors to go to Minnesota and have surgery or get mutilated, basically saying if you come here and do transition surgery, he's not going to honor a search warrant, an arrest warrant, or extradition. And those kids, there's parents with those kids, a 6-year-old boy that's now a girl. They were featured in that press conference last year in Minnesota.
Also standing in that sea of people, a parent, transparent about his family.
My partner Gretchen and I are here today because we are parents of a trans child.
Their child is 6 years old, and she was as excited to be at a boring capital on spring break as any 6-year-old kid could be. Squirming and fidgeting her way through speeches, hardly aware her existence as why her parents drove 5 hours today to speak publicly.
It's 100% personal. I mean, the safety, the happiness of our child is it couldn't be more personal.
Asher, why are we here today?
For trans rights.
For her rights to be her.
As you can see from this interview, I can't force my kids to do anything.
You should.
Asher has trusted us enough. She believes in our love enough that she has invited us in to see her whole self. And if we don't love her that much, the opposite would happen, where we wouldn't get to know everything about her. And so we're lucky, we're blessed, and we love her.
So much they came to the People's House this morning to talk about her, the person, in a room reserved for talks about politics.
And there's nothing in this world that I wouldn't do, like Gretchen and I wouldn't do, to protect her and others like her.
Except not mutilate her.
Sickening. And they're going to do that.
But this is what happens This is why we are where we are. And it's important to understand it, particularly for conservatives. Going back to my keep referencing my friend's thoughts on this because he's a deep thinker. I'm talking about my friend Doug Johnson, who's the editor of Touchstone magazine, which if you're a committed Christian, conservative Catholic, you should subscribe to. He writes, the political movement known as conservatism only begins after crucial habits have fallen away and are assuredly never coming back. We belatedly realize that the consequences stink, and instead of trying to restore certain habits, we turn to useless arguments. And that's why we lose. That's why the left is on what seems to be this inexorable march to disintegrate the republic. So at least understand the pathology, so perhaps there could be more interest in attempting to fix it. Going back to the cancel culture, it's a good example of it. Oh, isn't that terrible, professors? I mean, some of these names that are brought up by this professor at the University of Arkansas I'm about to reference, whose op-ed I'm about to reference. Boy, you remember these names? Laura Kipnis at Northwestern, and Elizabeth Weiss at San Jose State. I mean, you can go through the Greg Lukianoff book, The Canceling of the American Mind, and it's like a walk down memory lane of the last 4 years. All the names of professors and also some in corporate American stuff too, who've had their careers derailed or ended because of thought crimes and speech crimes against the left, against the new Bolsheviks. This is going to be, so some of us are going to end up in gulags in a generation or two. And we're like, how did this happen? Yeah, right. The way that we're tracking, at least, doesn't have to be that way. It's not inevitable, but if we continue to take the attitude to, how is this happening? When did this start? Then the other side, as you may have noticed, is unrelenting. Robert Marinato is a professor in the Department of Education Reform at the University of Arkansas. He writes, even before the January 6th fiasco, I avoided voting for Donald Trump because he seemed autocratic. Nothing in Trump's recent behavior leads me to rethink that. Well, yeah. And this guy's sort of on our side, at least when it comes to the university as a free marketplace of ideas, but he still suffers from this sort of infirmed groupthink. Anyway, continuing on, let's give him his turn at the wheel. There are things I like about VP Harris, who was once a tough-on-crime prosecutor. For this college professor and John McCain Republican, democracy cannot be professional suicide, however. I won't vote for my own termination. I'm Republican, but not very partisan. I work for the Clinton administration. I like my city's Democratic mayor and received some Democratic endorsements both times I ran for school board. In 2020, I voted, albeit reluctantly and perhaps mistakenly, for Biden. Yet I've recently had reminders of why I fear many Democrats, especially California Democrats like Harris, who have little experience working across party lines. And he talks about the cancel culture on campus and some of those names that were profiled before, including on our show, but even nationally, who have had, as I said, their careers derailed or ended for saying things that are demonstrably true, but that run afoul of new Bolshevik orthodoxy. Restrictions on free speech and scientific inquiry increasingly define academia in California. 8 out of 10 University of California campuses require pro-DEI statements for applicants for faculty jobs, like barring anyone who opposes racial quotas. That would include me and most Americans of all races. Even the Washington Post editors, who are not exactly MAGA backers, warn that required DEI statements erase freedom of speech. This just in. Amazon Post writers always the last to know. In short, Democrats have created a situation where speech and research that offends leftist activists can bring punishment from leftist university bureaucrats. I respect Democrats In exchange for my vote, Democrats will have to bar required DEI statements, create a U.S. First Amendment Constitution, U.S. First Amendment Commission, I should say. Why? Patterned after the U.S. Civil Rights Commission, and generally protect endangered centrists and conservatives in higher education. Those are my terms. They are non-negotiable. Well, then you're going to be voting for Trump, Professor. I'll tell you that because, just a reminder, here's Tim Walz's position, and it is the ticket's position, and it is the party's position on that First Amendment that you care about so much.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
If that statement needs explanation, then to anybody listening, at least to this show, then you haven't been listening very closely. Greg and LaGrange, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Hey, thanks for the reminder about Touchstone. I wrote the number down. I got to get on the ball and just get that done.
Yes, absolutely.
Just like your friend said, my argument is always the same thing. There is never a bridge too far. There is never a Rubicon that can't be crossed, and there's never a hill to die on. What I have done, and it has come at a personal cost, is that I won't let people forget. I just won't. What's happened is horrible, and that 6-year-old child that gets sucked into this vortex of what I would consider evil is just disgusting. It's on the levels of some of the biggest and most heinous crimes in history, but they're thought crimes. They're not physically out in the open where you could be repulsed by it, but they're equally repulsive and easily is evil. And I think what needs to be done is you got to look inside yourself and say, what are you willing to give up in life? Are you willing to give up your morals and values? And if you really are an honest person and you look at it and you have a person of faith, you say, no, I'm not. And there is no personal cost that I'm willing to sacrifice to make my views known and my morals known, because this is the slippery slope. And all you have to do is read history. We know where it goes. The ironic thing is somebody brought up this mention of masks that have been banned in New York City because they're a problem because people are committing crimes you can't identify them well. Right. Well, that same thing happened in 1917 with the Spanish flu. If people just read and got a clue on what has happened in history and put the Olympics off, turn the switch them off, that'd be fantastic. But thanks, Dan, for the reminder on Touchstone. I'll get that done today.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate that.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you saved enough? What are you going to do with Social Security? What will your taxes look like in retirement? Scott Tucker believes retirement planning should be easy, and you should be able to get all the information you need in one place. That's why Scott created the Retirement Decoded Toolkit, a comprehensive resource for your retirement. In it, you'll find a copy of his latest book, Escape Illinois: Should I Stay or Should I Go? This book will provide insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. To get your free Retirement Decoded Toolkit, text KIT, K-I-T, to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Now, in addition to the book, you'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. Get your Retirement Decoded Toolkit from Scott Tucker right now by texting KIT to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. A registered investment advisor, this is a paid placement.
Choosing where to send your kids to school is one of the most important decisions you make as parents. Well, the school year is here, and you need to know that private school might be an option for you and your family thanks to our friends at Half Price Schools. This is what we talked about at David's seminar the other day, too. Another issue that's an ancillary issue, but in terms of expanding the conversation, something that Trump should be talking about. It's a great point of differentiation between the two parties and the two tickets. At halfpriceschools.com, you'll find many different private schools from around Chicagoland offering a full year of tuition for half of the normal price. And you can take advantage of this great opportunity. It's simple. Find a private school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, prepare to send your child off to school this fall. that simple. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools across Chicagoland, including St. Andrew's Lutheran in Park Ridge, Ravenswood Christian in Chicago, Christian Liberty in Arlington Heights, St. Peter's Lutheran in Schaumburg, and others. So don't delay. The school year is here. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. Don't wait. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
This is Seth Leibson for TownHall.com. It's telling that Kamala Harris chose Tim Walz for her VP nominee. Usually the candidate at the top of the ticket is looking for some kind of balance or to communicate something to the voting public. What is being said with the Harris pick of Walz? The rap on Harris is that she is incompetent and the farthest left nominee to a major ticket in history. Did she pick serious? Did she pick non-left? No, she didn't even pick someone from a state that could help her in the general. She picked a far-left governor with a state of failing indicators, falling education scores, rising crime, and net-out migration, all the province for which governors are held responsible. She had the choice to go moderate with an electoral college delegate-rich state that is always in play for Republicans and Democrats alike, but didn't. Only a week ago, Tim Walz was promoting socialism as nothing more than neighborliness, touting progressivism as a good thing. When someone tells you who they are, to quote Tim Walz, believe them. I'm Seth Leibson.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-511-2112. That's 800-511-2112. 800-511-2112.
AM 560, The Answer.
RFK Jr. now admitting that he has a separate freezer full of roadkill, Dan. I just thought I'd let you know, but he says he uses it to feed his birds.
Yeah. Remember when people were telling me how RFK Jr. was going to get 20% of the vote? I don't think so. 808, the state of state Republican parties. There's a topic for conversation in Illinois. Amber Duke from The Spectator joins us, 808.
But first, let's stop into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Pritzker signs pro-abortion legislation for Illinois. The Bears are silent on whether Caleb Williams will play. WIND Chicago News Time.
They might have tried to attack tonight's show. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That is the word from Austrian officials the day after 3 sold-out Taylor Swift concerts were canceled in Vienna because of a terror plot. And a short time ago, some Swift fans were shaking it off, singing in the streets of Vienna.
A tragedy has been prevented, says Austria's Interior Minister Gerhard Karner. A 17-year-old and a 19-year-old arrested yesterday. Austrian security officials say they found Al-Qaeda and ISIS material at the home of the younger suspect.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Former President Trump will hold a news conference this afternoon at his Florida resort. He posted on Truth Social, when he debates Vice President Harris, though a date's not been set yet, he'll expose her, like he wrote he did to Crooked Joe and Hillary. Meanwhile, in his first interview since dropping out of the race with CBS News,
President Biden says if former President Trump loses the election in November, he's not confident at all there will be a peaceful transfer of power.
He means what he says. We don't take him seriously. He means it. All the stuff about if we lose, there'll be a bloodbath.
Referencing when former President Trump said at a rally earlier this year that there would be an economic bloodbath for the auto industry because of Democratic policies.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz. Tropical storm Debbie made landfall overnight a second time. Days after hitting Florida as a hurricane causing flooding. More is expected.
Debbie's eye is now back over land near Bulls Bay, South Carolina, north of Charleston.
National Hurricane Center Director Michael Brennan says rain continues to be the big risk.
We could still see an additional 3 to 9 inches of rain in some locations, with storm total amounts approaching 25 inches in some parts of coastal South Carolina.
The storm will move to North Carolina and Virginia over the next day.
Fox's Eben Brown. There's been a slight drop in unemployment after new claims rose to the most in almost a year, declining to 233,000. America's listening to Fox News.
64 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. One man is dead, pulled from Lake Michigan near the Adler Planetarium in Chicago as two men jumped into the lake yesterday in rough water in the 1300 block of DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Both men were rescued. One man was later rushed to a nearby hospital where he died. An autopsy is scheduled for later today. Crews, meantime, are continuing their search for a Minnesota teen who disappeared in Lake Michigan in northwest Indiana. The 17-year-old boy was in the water Tuesday in rough water near Beverly Shores, Indiana. And the Great Lakes Surf Project's Dave Benjamin was in Indiana yesterday saying he can't believe more people are still in the water during dangerous conditions.
Where this is almost the same conditions as yesterday, and they have no knowledge that there's a person, a 17-year-old boy, on vacation, dead in the water.
According to the project, 28 have died on the Great Lakes this year, 10 on Lake Michigan. The Pritzker administration continues to expand its pro-abortion policies in the state.
Is it right that Illinois taxpayers are going to provide these services at their expense to minor children without the knowledge of their parents? It's just astounding to me.
State Senator Jill Tracy had tried to warn everyone that the governor was pushing multiple bills that he signed to ensure a pregnant woman can access needed emergency health care, according to the governor, and clarifies and expands the Illinois Human Rights Act. Cubs secure a win with an 8-2 victory over the Twins at Wrigley Field. White Sox tomorrow night, while the Sox lost to Oakland 3-2. The news, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smiles back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Eli Lilly shares are up 9% after the pharma giant reported an upbeat quarter, boosted by the strength of its diabetes and obesity treatments, Mounjaro and Zepbound, and by higher prices. Stock futures have turned mixed after yesterday's losses. J.P. Morgan Chase economists have boosted the possibility of a U.S. recession by the end of this year to 35%. Its previous forecast was a 25% possibility. They see early signs of softening in the labor market. Burger King's parent company, Restaurant Brands, is reporting a weaker than expected quarter. Sales rose in recent months, but under 2%. Wall Street was predicting a stronger increase. Restaurant Brands also includes Popeyes and Tim Hortons. The company is still standing by long-term sales growth. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Mike Gallagher can't believe what he sees.
Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States.
Biden should go up on Mount Rushmore because he stepped down in utter disgrace as a failed, incompetent old man who let them pull the rug out from under him.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Pastor Calvin from Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights. It is time to get your children and grandchildren out of the godless government schools. How can we subject our loved ones to forced, ungodly psychological examinations and perverse sexual teachings? You would not send your child to a school that teaches 2 + 2 is 5. What is being taught today is far worse and damaging to minds and hearts. We can help through our on-campus Christian school and homeschool program. For over 55 years, we have operated a Christian school now in Arlington Heights, and we have served hundreds of thousands of families across our nation and foreign countries through our homeschool program, Christian Liberty Homeschools. Visit ChristianLiberty.com to learn more or to schedule a tour of our excellent 12-acre facility. Take action today. Visit ChristianLiberty.com, ChristianLiberty.com.
At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, we honor traditions, celebrate faith, and cherish memories. Take an active role in establishing your legacy for future generations by pre-planning your final arrangements today. Alleviate your loved ones of future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of interest-free financing and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Have you lost Illinois Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Well, summer's here and the weather is beautiful. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints, or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of health insurance mentors. Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Call Stephen Tucker today for free Medicare advice. 630-674-1551. healthinsurancementors.com. Outbound Stevenson, bad accident, center lane block. It's on the outbound side between Kedzie and Central. Those driving by on the inbound side are sneaking a look this morning. Tri-State, accident cleanup southbound on 294 between Lawrence and North Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds and sun, very nice day. High today 83, partly cloudy tonight, low 59. Partly sunny, breezy, not as warm tomorrow, the high 76. Breezy Saturday morning, then partly sunny, terrific day, the high Saturday 73. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
65 at O'Hare, 68 Midway, 58 in Aurora. And your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Interesting piece by Amber Duke over at The Spectator about the state of state parties. Boy, we know this all too well in Illinois, as the state Republican Party, the Republican Party in the state, as well as the state Republican Party, are essentially defunct for a variety of reasons. And the compare and contrast of how the state party operated on the Republican side here versus how it operated under Madigan's thumb for so many decades, and now effectively under Pritzker's, is a interesting contrast. There's a lot here, but the piece is particularly relevant, the Amber Duke piece, because it speaks to chaotic situations with respect to state parties in swing states, and in terms of the infrastructure, the much ballyhooed infrastructure. A national campaign, the Trump campaign or any other one, can't just do it alone. It's not going to be a nucleus of senior advisors and then opening up some campaign offices around swing states. Then you actually have to have personnel, ideally personnel with relationships in those states and understanding of the political topography in those states to effectively execute things like VBM, vote by mail programs, and ballot security programs and the like. So the state of state parties, it's below the fold, but it is definitely a relevant conversation. Amber Duke joins us now. She's the Spectator's Washington editor. She's also the author of The Snowflakes Revolt, How Woke Millennials Hijacked American Media. Amber, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, and good morning.
It was a good insight you and the Spectator folks had to talk to all of these state-level operatives and party faithful about the state of their state parties, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia. Give us some. There's a few quotes from different officials that I definitely want to get into, but sort of give us the general perspective you came away with the state of state parties in swing states.
I definitely walked away from it concerned, to say the least. I had been hearing from friends of mine and sources that I've developed over the years for quite some time now that they were incredibly frustrated with the general chaos that has overtaken state Republican parties, that they feel like it's impossible to organize just about anything, and they feel like they're basically at an impasse where the parties have degraded so much that what's happening now is outside organizations and PACs are trying to fill the role that the state GOPs once did, which is okay to an extent, but previously in past decades, state parties were sort of this central location. They could, coordinate with the RNC and receive money from the RNC and kind of be that central locale for people to coalesce, and that's not really the case anymore. Basically, every insider, operative, consultant that I talked to talked about this long-running power struggle between the activist class and what we would probably call the establishment, meaning party bosses who have been in power for a long time. And I think, my instinct and instinct of others who are generally anti-establishment, maybe they're Trump supporters, would say, well, isn't that a good thing because we want the parties to represent the Trump base and the fact that the party is changing. And yes, to an extent, you certainly want them to be open to new ideas and what the base is telling you, but you also need people in charge who know how to operate. And so what's been happening is you get the underclass of very hardcore activists who the operatives were very clear to me. This is not really the party base. This is a super motivated subgroup is how it was described. But you have people who have come to, 2-3 meetings and say, I can run it better than you.
Right.
And they gather up their friends, they take over, and then like a tiger chasing the tail, it catches it and doesn't know what to do with it. So now we're unfortunately seeing the results of this takeover, and they haven't been good.
Yeah, no, I'm certainly familiar with those descriptions, and not all quote unquote establishment types are the same, and not all activists are the same and have the same skill sets too. So it's always complicated to just sort of do the establishment versus the grassroots because
Right.
in different states you have different levels of talent among different people in those two camps. But maybe to put this in some, to provide some clarity to this picture, let's just take a state here. It's a state that, ostensibly Trump has to have, like Arizona. And of course, we saw the the former state party head get cross with Carrie Lake, and that was sort of was complicated. But give us in both directions. But give us sort of the state of the state party in Arizona, because not only do you have some of these internal divides between the quote unquote establishment and the grassroots, but also you have the concern about Maricopa County and the administration of the election there.
Right. Well, and Arizona is a really great example of what I'm talking about, that this is not just, pro-Trump people versus never Trump people, because the state party chair in Arizona prior to his ouster, Jeff DeWitt, was a big Trump guy. He actually worked in the president's first administration. He served as a high-level treasurer on both campaigns and basically controlled the purse strings for the Trump campaign. But what happened with Carrie Lake, of course, is that she released this audio recording that suggested he was trying to threaten her or bribe her to leave the race. And his explanation for that is that they are close friends. He knew that there were people more establishment than him, perhaps, and more never Trump than him, that wanted her out and were going to do whatever it took to do that, and was providing her fair warning. I think reasonable people can interpret the audio recording both ways. But that being said, because she released that publicly, Jeff DeWitt gets forced out. The party is thrown into chaos. It's in a state where there's been all of these questions about election fraud. And now Carrie Lake has won her primary in the Senate race and is running 7 to 10 points behind Ruben Gallego. So it seems like we're sort of cutting off the nose to spite our face.
Well, what's DeWitt doing now?
I have no idea, actually.
Is he in hiding?
I couldn't.
Well, I
tried
mean,
to get in touch with him.
Yeah.
I did reach out to him.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I could not get in touch with him. I'm not sure, honestly.
One of the comments, this from a former Michigan GOP official, talking about the grassroots. They don't want to listen to anything. It's just a big, giant purity test of whatever they believe at the moment. I think it's undermined a lot of places, but it's especially evident in Michigan. In short, the collapse of the state party there happened because state parties are now beholden to grassroots activists, and the grassroots activists are retarded, said a former senior Michigan official. The poor choice of words, number one. But, that sort of attitude by the establishment is just as unhelpful as the grassroots, as some in the grassroots attitude toward, anybody who's been part of sort of the established Republican Party doesn't know anything. They're corrupt. I can do it better. We have sort of these dynamics. Now, you're always going to have these dynamics in contests for titles and political power, real or perceived. But they can be, but sometimes it can be, it's in a system that is set up for more constructive outcomes versus one that just descends into warlordocracy, and it seems like that's a fine line.
Yeah, look, I totally agree that this goes both ways, right? I mean, on one hand, you have people who don't have experience trying to summarily take over state parties and then not doing a really great job when they get there. And then on the other side, you have an establishment that has been really contemptuous and kind of scornful of the grassroots base. And that's not a helpful attitude. It certainly makes these people feel alienated and contributes to the feeling that they need to be in charge so that their feelings, their views, their ideology gets represented in the party. And one of the consultants I spoke to, who mostly does work in the Western U.S., said to me, that's where I don't think you can say the grassroots folks are wrong. At some point, those people who invest in that message are going to expect a return on that investment. I mean, if you're someone who is part of that super motivated subgroup and you show up every weekend and you knock doors or you wave signs, you're always at the party meetings, and some guy who's in charge starts crapping all over your pro-Trump sentiments, for example,
right.
and they elect candidates that fundamentally disagree with everything you believe in, you're going to start to get a little antsy and say, well, yeah, maybe I can do it better.
Well, and in here, I mean, Illinois being the good example of a bad example in so many respects, including with the Republican Party. So it's a combination of a couple of things. One is obvious and doesn't need much explanation. I mean, we've literally had people that are traitors in positions of elective office and party leadership, people that are now supporting Kamala Harris, former governors like Jim Edgar, people that are now lobbyists for pro-abortion groups and for the LGBT and so on and so forth. So we've made terrible personnel decisions. That's one thing. But the other thing is what you're getting to, which I think is really key, is if you don't take positions and take up fights consistent with who you said you are and were when you come asking for money, or you come asking support for this candidate, or you come asking for support for yourself, then yeah, of course people are going to get antsy. They expect, I'm a precinct captain or a precinct committeeman, I'm a party loyalist, and I'm going to carry water for you, and then I'm going to go back to my job and my family, and I expect you to act in furtherance of what you said you were going to do. And when I see you doing the opposite, when I see all I want from you is to be who you said you were when you were running for office, and you go down to, in our case, Springfield, the state capital, and you vote for the left's tax increases, or you vote for the left sanctuary city, or you advance the left's agenda of your own volition, well, then don't expect when you come back, I'm going to be welcoming you with open arms into the community.
Right. And then if you're in party leadership and you re-endorse that candidate, or again, try to fundraise for them, your base and your grassroots activists are obviously going to be upset with you, and they're going to feel betrayed. And I think that's a reasonable way to feel. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it seems to me it's sort of like how you set it up. Here's sort of the standards of conduct. As a party, we're going to police ourselves, and we're going to impose consequences on bad actors. If you go down there and you do the bidding of the other side, if you do 180s on issues that you ran on, we're going to say, you know what, that person, as a party, we're not going to wait for the grassroots to say it. The party leadership is going to say, look, we can't in good faith support you in that district anymore. We have to be honest with the voters, the Republican voters in that district, the Republican rank and file in that district, just as you have to be honest and submit to a reckoning. You made the choice to do something different than you said you were going to do. But it's just very rare to see that sort of policing, that sort of internal quality control from a state party or state or legislative caucuses. And certainly that, to me, is one of the key factors in the disintegration of the party structure in Illinois.
And if I may set it up this way, think of it as a group of people who solely want results and a group of people who just want to win. And you have to have a balance of the two, because if all you care about is winning, then yes, you're going to pick candidates who are squishy. You're going to put candidates in who, because you think they are moderate or centrist enough to win, but then they get in office and they don't do anything that's actually in furtherance of the Republican Party platform. That's not great. On the other hand, if you have someone who is only caring about results and you're constantly boosting and putting through the primary candidates who can't win a general election, you're never going to get the results you want, because you're not choosing somebody who is the best candidate to run in that race. So you have to find the middle ground there. And these two groups in the state parties, the grassroots activists and the establishment class, have just been sniping at each other for years and engaging in this power struggle, rather than figuring out, okay, how can we make sure that we are representing our base and making sure that activists are happy, while also choosing candidates that are electable. I don't think those things have to be mutually exclusive.
No, I agree. And point of fact, I mean, again, just Illinois, since it's what I really know, and I'd be interested in what other perspectives you got from these swing states. But I mean, but you win on a conservative reform message, and then you go to Springfield or you go to Washington, D.C., and you walk away from the message that you ran on. Why not compile a record consistent with the message you ran on and won? That's the thing that's the most unnerving. Mm-hmm. It's like, we got to, I get it. In swing districts, you can't have, a conservative firebrand and so forth, and the big tent and all that. It's fine. It's fine. There's going to be some disagreement on the party. Obviously, there's a lot more disagreement in our party on issues like abortion and even school choice than on the other side. So that's fine. I get it. You don't have to agree with everything I say. But the thing that's the most enraging is you say I'm going to be a conservative reformer. You run on that message. You win on that message. You walk away from conservative reform. That makes no sense.
Right. And here's the other thing, Dan, is that Unfortunately, there are also people who take advantage of the righteous anger of the grassroots activists to become grifters. Perfect example of this, I write about this in the piece, is what happened in Colorado. You had Dave Williams take over as party chair, and he was someone who was actually a Ted Cruz supporter in 2016, and now fashions himself as the biggest Trump supporter. He's Trump's number one guy. He was actually kicked off of the campaign as a surrogate in 2020 because he was giving the wrong impression that Trump had endorsed him in his congressional race and was using Trump's imagery on all of his campaign materials. He takes over the state party in 2022, 2023, and immediately institutes these massive filing fees so that primary candidates have to pay $40,000 in the presidential election to appear on Colorado's ballot. And he explained this as professionalizing the organization. But what was really going on is, one, the state party had a massive fundraising shortfall because it turns out Dave Williams wasn't very good at that. And two, he was using money from the filing fees to again run for Congress in 2024, using state party earmarked funds for his own benefit of running for Congress. And I imagine if you ask any of those presidential primary candidates what they thought their filing fee was going to, they wouldn't say Dave Williams's congressional campaign.
Yeah, 100%. Man, we've seen every grift imaginable here. So, yeah, we get it.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Amber Duke, she's the Spectator's Washington editor. She's also the author of the book, The Snowflakes Revolt, How Woke Millennials Hijacked American Media. And do check out this piece she did over at The Spectator, Inside the Perilous State of State Republican Parties. A great piece, Amber. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Do you have some chronic pain going on? You got to turn on your mic there.
It's not chronic. I strained my right calf muscle playing pickleball. But, I mean, that happens to great athlete. Christian McCaffrey is suffering from a strained calf muscle, too. So, I mean, it happens to great athletes.
How's your serve?
I can play pickleball.
Okay. Oh, I want to.
And I've got pretty good range of motion. Even at my advanced age, I've got pretty good range of motion. So, I mean, for an older gentleman, I can play pickleball.
I've never heard you talk about yourself as old. This is interesting.
Well,
I know you're a great athlete, tearing it up on the court, but
premier,
where are you
elite.
Where?
These are all words that are appropriate.
Where does one Dan Proft play pickleball?
Well, I just play because some guys are playing that I know from Oak Park. We're playing over at Keystone Park in River Forest.
Yeah.
So I went over there and played a little bit. And despite the strained calf muscle, I won.
Are you going to need some QC kinetics?
I think I'm a Pilates guy. I think I'm going to work it out through Pilates.
Okay.
And
they don't really do strained muscles. They do
Pilates.
Pain from arthritis and injuries.
Pilates and Advil.
Okay. That'll get you through.
Yeah.
I want to play pickleball against you.
Scotch.
Do you do doubles or singles, by the way?
Singles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't do singles.
Yeah, exactly, because you don't have the range of motion of an elite athlete like myself.
No, I like doubles
I cover the
better.
court.
Okay.
I cover the court.
All right,
I have all the shots.
Okay, I'm asking the questions here. Do you have video of this and can you tweet it out?
No, I don't have video. Yeah. No.
I want to see you playing pickleball at Keystone Park in River
Can't play
Forest.
golf anymore, so now it's back onto pickleball.
Okay.
And plus, it's de rigueur in Southwest Florida.
Well, if you're having constant bone-to-bone pain because of arthritis, or maybe you have an injury, before you go under the knife or take those steroids or worse, pain pills, call our good friends at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics, really, they use cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties. Think about it. If you cut your hand, eventually it heals. So it revitalizes your joints so you can move again. And if you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or an injury, you need to know, again, that steroids and surgery pain pills no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat that pain, enhance your joints, and restore your mobility so you could move and live free again with no downtime. And the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back. Here's what you do. Call this number. They have new locations, by the way, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee, and Saturday appointments available. And the number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
AM 560, The Answer.
Who do you play against in pickleball? Maybe I can contact them to see if they can get me some video.
I take all comers. You want to play pickleball? Let's play pickleball. You see it for yourself. You see the flash in first person.
I did play ping pong against you in some foreign country, and that
destroyed
didn't end well.
you.
Well, destroy is a very aggressive term.
Well,
It
it's
wasn't
an
a
accurate
destruction.
term. It's aggressive, but it's accurate.
No, it's 21-18, one of the sets.
Yeah, that's when I was just like, this
Oh,
is,
you toying with
this
me?
is boring. I mean, the first was like 21-6, 21-5. I'm playing left-handed. I'm having a cocktail.
You have one eye, a patch on one eye.
But, I've never played tennis, so it's all from the ping pong.
No,
It's all
I'm
playing
telling
ping
you,
pong.
it's the
That's
same strategy.
It is.
But the ball where your opponent is not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
Yvonne
wait.
Goolagong.
Yeah,
Well, what's
exactly.
the object of the game?
To get to 11 first.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All right, coming up at 8:38, we'll suspend our pickleball discussion for a bit. Talk to Benji Becker, founder and executive chairman of the American Conservation Coalition. Common sense conservatism applied to environmental issues at 8:38.
But first, let's stop in the newsroom. Hey, do you play pickleball?
I do not. I play tennis.
Oh, you're old school. So how do you feel that all your tennis courts are being taken over?
I play with my Bjorn Borg racket. Yeah, my little small, tiny wooden one.
But are you upset that all your tennis courts are being taken over by pickleball people?
No, there's plenty of tennis courts available. Okay. Especially if you go to the high schools and play. They've got 8 or 16 courts that are usually unoccupied.
Yeah, kids
most
can't play
of the
tennis
time.
anymore. They're all too fat.
There's plenty of courts out there and plenty of room for everybody. I really think you two should get together and do a fundraiser for like the 100 Club or something like that.
It could be like Bobby Riggs, Billie Jean King.
Yeah.
thing.
Have a little tournament and have a battle of the sexes and see where that goes.
I
raise some money, do some good.
I have a better idea. Can we play doubles against other people? Because I think that would be the winning ticket. I try to strategize. I don't like to get myself into losing
I don't
positions.
have to carry your ass all over the court.
No, I'm good at the net. I used to be a middle hitter in volleyball, so I have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing.
They will be fun to see, and I think the fundraiser is a good idea. We'll get you guys out there, and we'll bring everyone along for the ride at 8:34 on AM 560. The Answer. We've been telling you about a strong earthquake and tsunami this morning in Japan. Right now, no reports on major damage, and only 2 to 3 foot waves involved with the tsunami that we can see from Japan's Meteorological Society so far. President Biden giving his first interview since deciding to drop out of the 2024 election. You can see the full interview on CBS on Sunday morning. Kamala Harris and her new running mate are on the campaign trail in battleground states like Wisconsin and Michigan. Speaking in Eau Claire, Harris delivered a series of attacks against Donald Trump.
This campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. It's about 2 very different visions for our nation.
Tropical storm Debbie landfall this morning in South Carolina.
So far, we had no fatalities related to this so far, and we don't want any. But we know there's going to be a lot of cleanup to do, and we got to be very safe because this is not nearly over.
Governor Henry McMaster this morning. The storm has been blamed for 6 deaths already this week. The head of J.P. Morgan Chase this morning says there still might be a bad recession. CEO Jamie Dimon on CNBC saying he still believes the odds of a soft landing are only about 35 to 40%, making a recession a likely scenario. Here in Chicago, 1 man is dead, pulled from Lake Michigan near Adler Planetarium. Police say 2 men jumped into the lake yesterday in the 1300 block of DuSable Lakeshore Drive. One of the men was hospitalized and later died. While crews are continuing their search for a Minnesota teen who disappeared in Lake Michigan in northwest Indiana on Tuesday. Authorities are searching for a woman wanted in a march-in and run that left a couple dead in Crest Hill. Police say Lori and Danny Cooper were found seriously injured, later pronounced dead. An arrest warrant has been issued for Mary Moscato. Chicago sports. Looks like the Cubs were winners over the Twins last night, 8-2. Michael Busch, Ian Happ both went deep in the victory. Cubs visiting the White Sox tomorrow night. The White Sox stumble in after another loss, this time 3-2 to Oakland. The news, a service of Valdecas Windows. For the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service, contact Valdecas Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella-certified contractor. Visit Valdecas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
In 2012, the Journal of Cognition and Emotion published a study that showed that we make a decision to trust a person within 100 milliseconds of seeing their face. Making a good first impression has never been more important, and you can make that positive impression with a professional headshot from Tom Killoran Photography. Whether you're a job seeker trying to land your next position, or you're looking to build your business by connecting with prospective clients and customers, you need a high-quality headshot to use with your resume, portfolio, website, or other marketing materials. The experts at Tom Killoran Photography can work with you to capture the exact look you need for your professional presentation. Tom Killoran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see a sample of their work, just visit KilloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN Photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Killoran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Wow, she loves it. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I'm talking about a woman that I met at the pool. Arthritis robbed her of so much, but there's effective ways to deal with that pain without drugs or surgery. She went to QC Kinetics. They use cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizes your joints so you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain like my new friend I met at the pool, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, and restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. Call them today for a free consultation. They'll walk you through the process, tell you how it all works. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee, and Saturday appointments are available. 312-809-5955. Write it down, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
It's 8:40. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance with Allstate? You could easily save and get quality protection. It's a win-win. Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Addison, Rolling Road and Army Trail, an accident. 75th and Cass in Darien, an accident. Lyle, Route 53 at Maple. report of an accident. Carroll Stream, you've got a disabled vehicle with a shoulder block. North Avenue at County Farm. Big delays right now on the outbound Stevenson. Between Damon and Central, you've got an accident being shoved off onto the left shoulder. It's a crash with injuries mixed in. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Beautiful day ahead. Clouds and sun, 83. Partly cloudy, 59 overnight. Partly sunny and 68 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy.
Yeah, you seeing this news, this breaking news?
I don't know if this is breaking news. There's some sort of Lady Godiva rumor about Tim Walz.
Well,
has this been fact checked?
Well, I don't know if this has been fact checked, but nothing has been disputed yet on Twitter. Basically, it's an article from West Point, Nebraska from 1995. Nebraska man hospitalized after unusual overdosing incident. In a bizarre and unprecedented medical emergency, Tim Walz, a local resident of West Point, Nebraska, was rushed to the hospital last night after reportedly over-ingesting.
Wait. What year is this from, allegedly?
August 30th, 1995.
Okay.
After over-ingesting horse semen. They described it as a dare gone wrong. Emergency responders were called to Mr. Walz's residence around 11 p.m. after he began experiencing abdominal pain and distress, according to paramedics on the scene. Mr. Walz was...
once you have the first glass of horse semen, it's like that second margarita. You can go over the edge quickly. You gotta be
martinis. You can only have one.
Well, not necessarily, but you got moderation with horse semen. I always say.
The article goes on to say details surrounding the circumstances of the ingestion remain unclear. Friends and family of Mr. Walz experienced their shock as well upon hearing this. So apparently it was a dare. I'm still reading the article.
Oh, sure it was. Did he? Wait. So the claim is that he had a stomach pump because he drank a gallon of horse semen. But I mean, did he get it right from the source, or
was it stored? Because you know how they. Have you ever seen that?
I mean, in other words, I'm trying to analogize this in a way that is PG-13. Was Tim Walz's relationship with the horse semen? Well, let me see. Was Tim Walz? Is it a horse to Tim Walz like Willie Brown to Kamala?
Oh, hey. My friend who lives in Minnesota says we've heard of this rumor before. But having said that, none of this is important. But if he's going to make jokes about Vance on a couch, which he did again yesterday,
it's very important.
And if he's going to call people weird, that's weird behavior, Mr. Walz.
I think this is a fake story, but it's a fun one. And to your point, right? If you're gonna run around saying J.D. Vance had relations with a couch, then we're gonna say that you're horse semen guzzler.
There's no date or name on the paper of this post, but it looks. I mean,
it's fake.
This is fake.
I'm sure it's fake.
Well, I was a reporter in a rural area, and I got called out once for something very bizarre with having to do with a teenager and an animal. So these things, I know this, you guys all don't understand. Well, I've lived in 7 states, and I've been I hung out with the agricultural reporter in Iowa, and we went places and heard stories, and things happen.
And somebody says that politician they don't like once drank a gallon of horse semen and had to have his stomach pumped. You're like, oh, no, yeah, that sounds right. I mean, based on what I've seen from Tim Walz, it kind of does sound right, but I don't think it's true. I think it's fictional. But
well, we'll see.
But I mean,
there's been no disclaimers yet on the Twitter post that was made.
Well, of course. But I like the idea. Like, okay, you want to do the couch story? We'll do the horse semen story. I mean, this is the tit for tat, pun intended.
You left out the latex glove in the couch story.
What about?
Well, if you read the original fake post that claims it was on page 389 of J.D. Vance's Hillbillyology, which is that there was latex glove involved between couch cushions. I'll leave it at that. Very elaborate, yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, then we'll leave it to, further information in terms of the source of the horse semen, that whether he drank directly from the spout or whether it was chilled.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that is there was. I mean, we did this story once upon a time where people do drink.
No, I know.
Like they do shots of semen from various barnyard animals.
Yes.
So I mean, I guess in some parts of the Rust Belt, these are delicacies. I don't know. I haven't been out in the country.
Text message, Dan, you might need to get a control of Amy Jacobson here.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I already had breakfast.
Right. Well, she's got right. Okay. Well, yeah, she's horse. And anyway, okay. All right. So maybe we get. All right. Hold on. We I think we probably
312-642-5600.
Now we're going to open the
we're
floodgates.
Well, we're in it now.
Now we're going to be up to our neck in horse semen jokes momentarily. Grant and Rockford, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, you guys. Minnesota, where the men are boys and the horses are nervous. Coming soon to a White House near you.
Yeah, see, I told you.
And cows and rocks.
The rocks and cows.
Yeah, we used to live in Alexandria. As the community grapples with this unusual incident, many are left wondering what could have led Mr. Walz to make such a risky decision.
You're still reading from this like Babylon Bee type story. No.
Oh.
No.
You're claiming this is fake?
We were trying to get to stolen valor, something serious, and now we're up to our eyeballs. Mike in Dyer, Indiana.
Yeah, I was just going to say it was probably past its expiration date or shelf life, and that's why he got sick.
Oh, hell.
Yeah.
Well, they made it sound it was a dare that had gone wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Medical reporters want to remind people that
fictional medical reporters
that ingesting non-food, I can't even.
It wasn't pasteurized. Maybe.
Yes, can lead to serious health complications.
Make sure your horse semen is pasteurized. Joe in East Dundee, you're on Chicago's
Could cause
Morning Answer.
organ damage.
Dan and Amy, a horse is a horse, of course, of course. Talk to Mr. Ed.
Thank you very much, Joe. That's it.
That last one was bad.
Yeah.
But the first one was really good.
Okay.
But
you do turkeys and you do horses. I mean impersonations. Not
Thank you.
Do them.
Yeah, Dan.
J.D. Vance
please.
does couches.
I'll get a Daily Herald article out on me.
All right. Have we finished?
Was it a happy end?
Yeah. All right. So we'll take more horse semen jokes because how can you resist them? But while we contemplate that,
yes,
we do have some more on J.D. Vance we got some more from J.D. Vance on stolen valor yesterday. J.D. Vance commenting on the allegations surrounding Walz's misrepresentation of his service record.
When the United States Marine Corps, when the United States of America asked me to go to Iraq to serve my country, I did it. I did what they asked me to do it, and I did it honorably, and I'm very proud of that service. When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him, a fact that he's been criticized for aggressively by a lot of the people that he served with. I think it's shameful.
Yeah, and this has been an issue that people have raised in Minnesota since he first started running around for Congress. It's amazing that actually he survived this, there wasn't more scrutiny, particularly when he was sort of running as a moderate, country Democrat in a rural district that he represented in Congress. But back in 2009, the video has surfaced of a gentleman who came into his office and challenged his staff about the statements that Tim Walz was making about said service in the National Guard.
I don't know if you are familiar with this picture at all. This was taken in 2004 here in Mankato, and it's actually been posted on the internet for quite some time, and nobody quite realized what it is. But in this picture, Congressman Walz here is holding a sign that says "Enduring Freedom, Veterans for Care." So tell me what your understanding of this military background is.
Yeah, I understand that he was called up in support of it, obviously, in support of that operation. That's how I've always understood it. And so the time that he, when he got called up, I guess I've always referred to it as, he was called up and served in support of Operation Enduring Freedom.
Okay, so is there any question in your mind what Enduring Freedom is?
No.
Okay, so I guess most people, and you yourself included, would associate Enduring Freedom with Afghanistan, right?
Right, but
okay.
I mean, I think it, as I also understand that it encompasses a great deal.
Well, Operation Enduring Freedom is limited to Afghanistan and the airspace directly above. There's other units that are called up in support of, and I'm sure that's probably what his military orders said.
Right.
My concern, other than this picture, is that the congressman's website, his official biography, says simply that he was mobilized with his battalion in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, without any other details. Don't you think it's reasonable people might assume that means he served in Afghanistan?
Perhaps, I guess.
Okay, so it's been 5 years now, or I guess almost 5 years, that the congressman's official biography has said he served in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Isn't it reasonable, if it causes confusion, or it may cause confusion, that somebody may have thought to change that and explain that he served in Italy and not in Afghanistan?
So your question is more about this picture than his biography.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
The biography is one of them. That's bad. That's misleading. That's a little bad. This right here, under current U.S. law, this could get the congressman probably thrown in jail in violation of the 2006 Stolen Valor Act, which says it is a crime, a federal crime, to portray yourself in writing or verbally as having received an award or decoration authorized by Congress that you didn't receive. Congressman Walz is clearly claiming in this sign, in this picture with this sign, to be an Enduring Freedom veteran. He is clearly, nobody disputes the fact that he is not an Afghanistan or Enduring Freedom veteran. So this represents a fairly serious issue.
It does, and Jordan Schachtel, who's an independent journalist, had a pretty good write-up on this as well. The other instances, like right up to present day, where he's saying things about his service record that have to be reasonably construed as intentionally misleading. There is, and by the way, when I say up to this day, this video that the Harris-Walz campaign posted Tuesday of this week, in which Walz is on the video saying, I'm quoting, "We can research the impacts of gun violence. We can make sure those weapons of war that I carried in war are only carried in war." Well, 2003, Italy was not a theater of war for the United States, and that's where he was, and that was his only overseas deployment. So right up until this week, he's saying things that are intentionally misleading about his service record.
Yep. Fake, 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 or fight, fight, fight.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Leica Microsystems Incorporated seeks an advanced workflow specialist confocal in Deerfield, Illinois, to provide technical and application sales support for the life science research confocal products. Qualified candidates must have master's or PhD degree or foreign degree equivalent in biology, life sciences, optics, or related field, and 4 years of experience. 50% travel. Partial telecommute available. Please send resumes to harmon.brown@leica-microsystems.com.
If you have high blood pressure, listen to this story. Ira was given a grim diagnosis about his blood pressure. His doctor warned it's sky high. If he didn't get it down in 3 weeks, he was going to need surgery. So Ira began exercising, went on medication. But what seemed to be the miracle change, his diet. After thorough research and consulting with a nutritionist friend, Ira concocted a juice from foods that work like natural blood pressure medicines. 2 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped 30 points. What helped save Ira's life, amazed his doctor, is now available to you. Ira and his nutritionist founded 120 Life, a delicious juice and powdered mix with natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now, 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
Hi, my name is John Stanton, founder of the Stanton Group WP. For over 20 years, I have been helping clients and their families plan for their personal definition of retirement. I'm offering to take a look at the plan you have in place now and see if it makes sense in a world that is in constant change. My practice deploys a core and protect risk management process designed to succeed in any market environment. We are fiduciaries legally required to act in your best interest. My team and I work for you every day to help achieve your personal financial goals. Let's talk. Call me at 630-445-2380 or go to our website, stantongwp.com, to schedule a complimentary consultation. That's stantongwp.com.
Investment advisory services are through Sequest Wealth Management, LLC, the advisor, a registered investment advisor. The advisor provides investment advisory and related services for clients nationally. The advisor will maintain all applicable registration and licenses as required by the various states in which the advisor conducts business as applicable. The advisor renders individualized responses to persons in a particular state only after complying with all regulatory requirements or pursuant to an applicable state exemption or exclusion.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
AM 560, The Answer.
I think Dave from Geneva is onto something for Harris Walz campaign slogan. But
I'm not reading that.
Let me clean it up for publication.
Okay.
Harris Walz will fillet you and the horse you rode in on. It's pretty good.
All right. Thanks so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Keith Conrad, who's in for our good friend. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A man dies after jumping into Lake Michigan near the Adler Planetarium. WIND Chicago News Time, 9.
He's worried, even if his vice president is elected. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Biden, in his first interview since dropping out of the 2024 race, was asked by CBS News if he's confident there will be a peaceful transfer of power next year.
If Trump loses, I'm not confident at all. He means what he says. We don't take him seriously. He means it.